On a night of torrential rain, at the Black Society's headquarters, the signboard was lashed by wind and rain. A lone figure halted, towering before the main gate. A bolt of lightning ripped across the sky, striking with an earth-shattering thunderclap. Inside, dozens of men stood on guard, clutching all kinds of deadly weapons, radiating a chilling, murderous aura. One man gnashed his teeth in fury. The crowd roared wildly and ferociously. "It's him! The unnamed swordsman has arrived, kill him." The mob surged forward like starving tigers. They came crashing in from all directions, desperate to swallow their opponent. Bong Su still stood there, his gaunt, calm demeanor terrifying. He gently placed his hand on the cold sword hilt. With a single sword stroke, instantly staining the air red with the tang of blood and biting wind. Fresh blood gushed from a warrior, splattering and dyeing the area red. The corner of Bong Su's mouth curled into a cold smile beneath the brim of his hat that hid half his face. The other assassins continued to storm forward madly, their footsteps smashing the rain into deadly shards. They quickly formed a dense wall of bodies, surrounding him in the center. Bong Su decisively planted his feet to gain momentum, sending rain splashing everywhere. He swung his sword in a sharp crescent, fresh blood spraying forth. Their entire sturdy defensive line was wiped out by him in an instant. Bong Su skillfully twirled the sword in his hand. The wind screamed horribly, the blade coldly taking lives one by one amid the torrential rain. He continued like that, sweeping through the place alone. A burly butcher-sized man lurked behind, preparing to strike sneakily. He sneered with smug satisfaction, "Got you now, kid." Just as the sharp spear tip neared Bong Su's bare back, a violent surge of force shot out, slamming straight into the man's chest. His face was splattered with blood. He was horrified and astonished. How could an attack come from behind? Bong Su's cold gaze glanced over, as if looking at a corpse. The rain grew heavier and heavier, pouring down like the heavens were dumping buckets on the world. The ground was now strewn with corpses and broken swords and spears. Around where he stood, enemies died in droves. The torrential rain seemed to try to wash away the metallic stench. Deep inside the courtyard, under the hazy eaves, an old man sat in silence. The man's hunchback looked thoroughly aged. The outer robe was embroidered with the sinister coiling symbol of the spirit serpent. The old man quietly bowed his head, expression unreadable. He already knew his life had reached its end. Then he slowly left the sheltered eaves. Bong Su stepped in coldly. The old, wrinkled face stared at him, without emotion, from directly opposite. The old man guessed Bong Su's background. "So you're that unnamed swordsman, huh?" He was silent, his expression cold. The old man sneered, "A righteous swordsman, yet so secretive." He replied, "Because I'm not a swordsman." The old man, surprised, "Not a swordsman? Then why do you go around slaughtering members of the Black Society?" Bong Su repeated, "Precisely because I'm not a swordsman." The old man seemed to realize something. He burst out a helpless laugh. "So it turns out they were all deceived by you." Bong Su confidently, "I didn't trick anyone. People just like to believe what they want." The old man softly praised, "Truly an interesting youngster." The old man slowly lifted his sword, then calmly said, "Even if today I must step into the netherworld, I think I have no regrets. Whether you call yourself the unnamed swordsman or anything else, you came here ultimately to kill this old man." Bong Su silently gripped his sword, a dense, murderous aura chilling as he turned. The deathly aura from the old man likewise began to spread in opposition. The two prepared to enter a fateful life-or-death duel. Heavy raindrops plopped onto the cold ground. Tiny droplets splashed onto Bong Su's impassive face. At the moment he was about to swing his sword, the old man assumed an identical stance with not a hint of slack. Outside this small courtyard, it seemed oddly peaceful. Only the sound of a lone traveler's footsteps crushing the shattered rain was heard. Bong Su's sword still dripped the warm blood of his foes. He stepped out of the main gate after the carnage had begun to subside. The rain poured down as if trying to wash every trace of fresh blood from Bong Su's body. A heavenly thunderbolt suddenly descended from above, dazzling the pitch-black air. The light revealed his bloodthirsty, cold face. An era of blood and blades began here. It opened a journey from which the darkness of the past would never sleep. Crimson petals fell tilted, then sank into the thick pools of blood. Fresh blood glossed the cold stone floor, staining an entire scene of morning red. Someone quietly stepped forward, their heels squelching in that blood with a gruesome splosh. Strangers wearing robes embroidered with ciphered symbols on their backs were marching in. Under the gate of a manor set in a deep mountain gorge, the place was packed like ants. They wildly waved banners that filled the sky with murderous intent. A high monk at the front couldn't contain his shock and cried out in sorrow. "Is this really the famous Mount Hua Orthodox school I once knew, with countless corpses before us?" He softly chanted, Another person from Wudang gaped in astonishment. "This is the work of a demon. Who could have bloodied Mount Hua like this?" Someone beside him caught on. Wait, someone's coming. A figure somber and cold was slowly approaching, each step painfully awkward as he shuffled forward. His back hunched as if bearing a 1,000-pound burden, head bowed in grief, his dry mouth uttering a few broken, bitter words. Mount Hua has been annihilated. Many couldn't help but be shocked when they clearly saw the other's face. It's the Manhwa swordsman, could you still be alive? The Manhwa swordsman slowly lifted his head and whispered in ragged breath, only by a single person. Just then, a burst of sword light blazed, tearing the air as it streaked like a lightning snap. The whole crowd immediately tensed to the extreme. He's here attacking, stop him at once. In that sudden, unmanageable moment, fresh blood spurted everywhere, dyeing everything red. Body parts were severed by the sword's path, scattering in the void. A frenzied wave of killing intent surged toward them like a brutal tide. A dense dust cloud rose, making the old man's vision difficult and hazy. Amid the illusion, the Manhwa swordsman's cold body was cleaved in two by a single sword stroke. Black Eternity's face changed drastically as he roared, "You bastard, show your true form now." No sooner had he finished speaking than footsteps sounded, and in that person's hand he calmly carried a severed head still spurting fresh blood to the ground. The names that Bongsu ticked off included Shail and Wudang. His gaze flicked to the Qingcheng group. Namga. You lot sure gathered in force, huh? Black Eternity, provoked by that tone, fell silent. Who are you? Why did you cause this massacre? His words were nonchalant, as if he were out for a stroll today. I came because I heard Mount Hua was the strongest. The thing in Bongsu's hand was thrown forward. The head tumbled across the ground. The murderous aura radiating from him made it clear the rumors were unreliable. They suspiciously asked one another, that person, isn't he the Mount Hua chief? The cold tip of the sword, steeped in the breath of death, pointed toward them. Bongsu, excited, you came in such a pack. You must be stronger than Mount Hua, right? Black Eternity could not restrain himself. He bellowed. Everyone assemble. Black Eternity declared, we'll kill you here and offer the soul of Mount Hua in sacrifice. With that, they lunged at Bongsu, each displaying their signature strengths to attack him. Bongsu grew even more thrilled at today's lavish feast. This place really is entertaining. Back in the present, he was wearing a virtual reality headset. Bongsu's hand removed the headset from his face. He let out a heavy sigh after that intense round of gameplay. Bongsu wondered, is a combined strike from so many still too much for me? He glanced at the headset in his hand. It's a recently developed martial arts VR game. It's notorious for excessive gore and violence, including throat slitting and limb severing and extreme brutality, and it's flooded with complaints demanding it be shut down. Bongsu said regretfully, but there's no game quite like it. Next time I'll have to use a more discreet method. Just then, breaking news on the broadcast reported that Mr. No of the Dido Corporation had gone missing. Bongsu, hearing that, thought it might be an assassination. Suddenly, a cry for help sounded from behind him. Bongsu turned to look toward the darkness behind him. A weak voice rang out, help me. He suddenly remembered, right. Bongsu got up from the sofa, casually grabbing the hammer placed beside the chair. Someone was being blinded, repeatedly begging, please spare me. The man who had been on the TV news, now bruised and battered in his face, was pleading in Bongsu's room. Help me. Bongsu hoisted the hammer and sat down to observe his opponent. He squeezed No's face and asked, you want me to save you? The man pleaded, look, I don't know why you kidnapped me, but I really didn't do anything. Before he finished, Bongsu tossed something down. They were photos documenting No's cruel deeds, the bad things he'd done. No flew into a rage. How do you have all this? Bongsu tested the hammer in his hand, his tone indifferent. If you really did nothing wrong, you wouldn't have become my prey. An invisible fear rose in No, his mouth non-stop begging. I'm sorry, please, please spare me. Bongsu grabbed his hair, as you know. That plea for mercy, whether I hear it or you do. Isn't it getting boring? The hammer in his hand rose. No's face went dark, calculations racing in his head. He dared to shout. Using all his strength, he smashed his head against Bongsu's lower body, sending him reeling backward. Bongsu's feet skidded back, temporarily creating distance between them. No continued struggling to pull at the thin cord behind his hand. The fragile cord snapped. He growls, you bloody dog. No grabbed the hammer, the thing that almost killed him. Things changed. You're just dead meat now, kid. Bongsu's eyes showed brief surprise, then the corner of his mouth twitched. He was oddly entertained by this prey's final struggles. As No leaped up and swung the hammer down, Bongsu acted. His foot nimbly dodged to the side. The hammer brushed past his shoulder. No reflexively glanced aside, only to see Bongsu's fist already raised. A powerful punch came down on the man. No was in such pain his face changed color, sweat pouring down. He then lifted his leg, delivering a straight kick to the man. No flew backward, his heavy body slamming to the ground in agony. He felt his bones inside threatening to crack. No crawled toward the faint light, his will to live still clinging. Get away from me. I don't want to die, I don't want to die. Most humans are herbivores. Among the minority who are carnivores, they attack, hunt, and swallow those weaker than themselves. When he opened the door toward the light, a chill swept in. What lay before No was enough to make him want to erase his memories, mummies tightly wrapped in cloth. To Bong-su, he was a hunter of those carnivorous beasts, while the man stood frozen at the sight. Bong-su strolled up from behind, his eyes flashing with cruelty. He was a hunter. No still spat out defiance. I told you, stay away from me, stay back. Don't come near me, you son of a bitch. After that shout, the door was suddenly shoved open. The police arrived in time, their footsteps pounding loudly. The officers ordered them to freeze. The lead officer called out Bong-su's name. He flashed his badge on suspicion of kidnapping, illegal detention, and murder, officially declaring Bong-su under arrest. Bong-su hadn't expected his fun to be interrupted. He wondered how the police had tracked this place down. An officer fired a warning shot. In a commanding voice he said, "Freeze, you bastard, this is real ammo." A hole appeared in the wall behind Bong-su, smoke billowing from within. He alone faced a large contingent of police. Suddenly Bong-su found the scene oddly familiar. He recalled facing the masters of many sects in the game. This situation really did feel familiar. Bong-su gave a bewildering smile and said, "Do you know? No's crimes have been made public. This guy has killed a total of 6 women. He tortured them, even took photos while toying with them before killing them. The bodies beside him are of the same sort. Most of them are murderers. These people are vermin. They're carnivorous beasts hunting ordinary civilians. And I'm just a hunter who happened to catch one. Understand? The one you should be shooting isn't me but this bastard." An officer lit a cigarette, gun still trained on Bong-su, speaking nonchalantly. "Oh really? But what am I supposed to do? All I see is a sick killer who kidnaps and murders people." Faced with that accusation, Bong-su fell silent. He laughed loudly. "I think so too, chatting with the police won't do shit." Bong-su tightened his grip on the hammer in his hand. The police, realizing he'd lost his wits and fearing a desperate act, shouted, "Stop." Bong-su swung the hammer in a beautiful arc. In an instant, fresh blood gushed after the strike, just as a bullet was fired at him. As life and death closed in, Bong-su had only one wish: if he could be reborn. He hoped it would be in a world overflowing with monsters so he could slaughter to his heart's content. What he thought of was a world like the game, a martial world. As the bullet sped in and struck Bong-su, time and space were reconstituted. His image gradually blurred in a wash of blue light. Bong-su jolted awake, coughing and spluttering. He sat bolt upright, breath ragged. Bong-su panicked. He's alive, but he was clearly shot. Suddenly, a man in traditional attire stepped in. Dong-o asked in surprise, "I was sure I was dead, but you're still alive." Seeing the other's clothes, Bong-su's eyes widened in astonishment. When the man saw him silent, he barked, "You damn pauper." Dong-o grabbed Bong-su by the collar. He demanded, "Do you know how hard I had to work to drag your ruined corpse back from the market?" His fist hovered in front of him. "You piece of trash, should I just finish you off?" He tossed him into a straw stall. "Come back tomorrow, by then you'll be dead for sure." Even now Bong-su couldn't grasp what was happening. His hand brushed against a large stone behind him. Bong-su wasn't one to stay quiet and endure. He'd even died for that once, so he got up. He swallowed his anger at the throw, but his body reacted oddly, like an electric shock. Bong-su fell down in pain. "Damn it, my body." He glanced at his emaciated arm, thin as a stick, blue veins standing out. Bong-su's face went pale. His hand instinctively roamed over his body. Bong-su's body looked like a walking skeleton, and he realized this body wasn't his. He touched a still aching wound at his waist. What on earth were these wounds? Only now did he notice the scene outside, with its ancient architecture. And once again, Bong-su was shocked. He felt this place was familiar. He knew it, its name was. Bong-su sat dumbfounded at the doorway. Murim right. Moonlight poured down on his gaunt body. Bong-su raised a hand to his face and collapsed to the ground. 2 hot tears welled up. Only then did Bong-su staggeringly realize his wish had come true. A bell rang. "Player Bong-su, welcome to Murim Online, the world of the strongest." A wish granted, he broke into a wide, foolish grin. Bong-su began to inherit the memories of So Sam, the body's owner. So Sam worked at the horse stables. The horse snorted. So Sam was using a rake to comb the dry hay. When someone kicked open the stable door shouting, "So Sam," he turned to greet Lord Mackel. The man, pinching his nose in disgust, said, "Come with me now, I have work for you. Smells like horse shit everywhere." So Sam worried, "Right now, my lord, I haven't finished cleaning. Once I finish the stable." Mackel's hand squeezed his face hard. He asked coldly, "Do I look like I care about you that much? The Danri clan treats an orphan child like you as if you live and sleep here. Seems you've forgotten your place, have you? You're just a slave, understand?" Despite that contempt, So Sam remained calm. Outside at a weapons shop, seeing Dong-o bring him over. Old Su was surprised. "Where's Mackel? Why are you alone, Dong-o?" He forced a laugh and explained, "You know how it is, old man. Brother Mackel went off to the Bungyang Tavern again today with Ying Ying. To drink, that's all. Old Su interrupted, that doesn't matter, but is it just the two of you coming? He pointed toward the pile of swords. It's hard to move all of that with only 2 people. Dong-o laughed and brought up So Sam, can't you see him? We have a beast. A one-punch straight kind of guy, beast of burden here gets the job done. Seeing So Sam collapse, Dong-o reminded, brothers, why is So Sam still lying there? Get up and move this pile of weapons. He clapped his hands together. Right. Come to think of it, I have plans at the Bungyang Tavern's death hall today too. My bad. Looks like our brother So Sam has to work extra today. I'll be off, good luck. Old Su stared blankly at the scene, knowing he couldn't help, a trace of remorse showing in his eyes. So Sam hoisted an entire sack of swords onto his small back, struggling step by step as sword tips pierced the sack. As was inevitable, the sack tore, the swords began to spill, and finally the whole sack fell apart. So Sam silently gathered the scattered swords, wrapped them with the outer cloth, and dragged them with all his might. He worked until dusk fell. That diligent effort pleased Old Su greatly. Good job, kid, but why don't you take a break? He worried, your face looks terrible, like you're about to die. Exhausted, So Sam still replied stiffly, I'm fine, sir. But after that stubborn reply, his shoulders began to slump. A voice called in his ear, So Sam, you feel so cold. With his eyes squeezed shut, he heard a question echo inside his head. Do you really want to prolong this miserable life like a worm? Just then someone approached. So Sam regained a bit of awareness and opened his eyes to look. Du Ryong, looking like a murderous ogre, stood blocking him and asked, what are you doing? Get out of the way. Knowing he was too small and weak, he could only say, I'm sorry, sir. But apologies don't change the way the big fish eat the little fish. A fist shot straight into So Sam's face. When he was flung away like a small toy, he wondered where it all went wrong. Was it when my whole family died in the storm and I was the only survivor? Or when I knocked on the Danri clan's door just to get by? The next punch came down, and he kept wrestling with the question. Or maybe it was when he fell to the ground mumbling he was cold. Around So Sam the world sank into darkness and a voice cried out, help. Bong-su had already received his memories. His eyes gradually opened, his body still aching. Bong-su diligently worked in the horse stables. He stared at himself in the trough. So Sam, that's the name of this child. Bong-su pushed up on the wash basin and stood up. He lifted his head to survey the place. Bong-su realized this appeared to be the horse stable from his memories. So the real So Sam had been beaten to death, and I'd taken over this body. He caught sight of something odd beside him. Bong-su was surprised to see an information board. Wait, what's this? It displayed, Welcome to Miram Online, the world of the truly strong. Bong-su realized, could this be the status panel of Miram Online? Outside, Maka was holding a bowl. Inside was only horse dung. He was annoyed, why am I always stuck doing this damn job? In this whole Danri clan, am I the only one who knows how to clean horse shit? Makal thought to himself that if he was done, he should just go straight home. Seeing the person before him, Makal felt unlucky. Why did he have to clash with Du Ryong? That guy's a lunatic. I even sent Dong-o with him as backup. And yet, he swore in anger, damn it, why does a great man like me have to clean up for a retard? Or should I just kill the bastard myself? That thought made Makal's expression turn cold. He pressed his lips together. No, it's too risky. If I'm exposed, my head will roll first. He kicked open the stable door and strode in, hurling the bowl of dung at Bong-su. You useless worm, why are you still alive to make my life miserable? He sat there as the dung bowl landed between his legs. Bong-su's lips were cracked and parched. He cast a slight glance at the man. He thought to himself, has it already been 2 weeks? 2 weeks since I woke up here. Based on what I've gathered from Makal and the outside world, here's the situation. First, people here use Chinese characters, but this isn't China. The reason is that Bong-su discovered martial arts, skills that only existed in movies and novels. People can fly through the air and move faster than the eye can see. Outside in the yard, disciples were practicing swordplay. They stood in neat rows, their shouts echoing across the yard. Bong-su watched them intently, thinking that here those martial arts were vivid reality. It's like a real-life version of Miram Online. Second, this status panel and system. To be exact, I don't understand why Miram Online's status panel is working and only I can see it. At first, because of that window and the martial arts, I thought this was just a game. But this is definitely reality. He glanced at Makal, who pursed his lips coldly, and realized every person here has their own feelings. They're alive and they're moving. So then what am I? A human being or a player? As Bong-su pondered, laughter rang out. Dong-o stood at the door and laughed. Look at you, brother, So Sam's living the life, huh? While others were beaten and punished for some idiot keeping you waiting, weren't you, you brat? At that question, he remained sitting still. Dong-o was surprised to see Bong-su walk up in front of him. The bowl of horse dung in his hand was raised, stinking. As he was still shouting, look at this guy, he tightened his fist and tipped the bowl up. Dong-o growled, "I'm talking to you, bastard, I'll kill you." A murderous gleam flashed in his eyes. The bowl was crushed. Bong-su grabbed a shard and suddenly shoved it into Dong-o. A red glint shone indifferently in Bong-su's eyes as he looked at him, while Dong-o clutched his bleeding neck. He repeated, "Dong-o, the child you once knew." His eyes rolled back, veins of blood showing. Bong-su drove in another thrust. He had been dead long ago. Dong-o began to feel dizzy. He still held his throat, moaning. The sharp shard in his hand gleamed. Bong-su smiled bloodthirstily and plunged again. Warm blood spurted out in a spray. Soon his body was splattered with enemy blood. Fresh blood sprayed around like rain. Dong-o's body collapsed with a thud. The air reeked of blood. Each drop of blood shot up like a fine rain and fell onto his face. Bong-su even felt the blood's temperature, too hot. He had found the path he must take in this martial world. Whether human or player, it didn't matter. Just as I thought, there's no doubt, this place is reality. I can sense the great law of this world radiating from this guy in Makil, which is the jungle law, the strong defeat the weak. If it's here, I don't need to hide my true nature. I can hunt to my heart's content, because creatures like me are no longer mere prey. And even stranger, stronger beasts roam freely in the forest they call Murim. As soon as this body recovers, the hunt will resume for true predators. He spread his arms wide, enjoying this lawless, strength-dominant place. From now on, Bong-su declared this would be the new Murim. Until night fell, the walls stained with blood while Dong-o's corpse had gone stiff. He boredly sat back against the wall and stared at the body. Bong-su pondered, normally a guy like this isn't worth hunting, but there's one thing I need to verify. He sat waiting to see if his hypothesis was correct. The system screen appeared. Bong-su discovered something different about the inventory. In Murim Online, inventories are grid systems where each item takes one slot. But this inventory was just one vast contiguous space. His hand slipped through as soon as he tried to touch it. Bong-su estimated it was vast, at least 300 m2. He held his hand there a little longer to feel it. Then his hand slowly withdrew from that space. Bong-su touched Dong-o's corpse. In the game it works like this, right? His hand landed on the cold face. He issued the command to store it. Dong-o's body gradually disappeared. The corpse turned into a faint illusion, and even the blood was drawn into the space. Bong-su froze. The huge object vanished in an instant. This feature is absurdly useful. I can definitely make use of it. Wait, can I put living creatures in here? If I do, will they still be alive? Or will I need to experiment a bit more? The next day outside, Makil was standing laughing with someone, while Bong-su diligently swept with a broom. The two of them chatting about who knew what, looking especially merry. He scowled and glanced toward them, and from behind, someone took aim at Bong-su. A hand came down and smacked his head. Makil scolded, "You idiot, I heard you're mute now, huh?" Bong-su sputtered a few sounds. The man prodded his body. "You mute brat, don't be lazy here." Makil pointed into the stall, "Take that horse out for a walk." Bong-su obediently bowed his head all of a sudden. Makil grumbled, "What am I to do with a brat who can't even speak properly? And you take the horse outside." The market street bustled with trade. People came and went, buyers and sellers filling the place with life. Bong-su's gaze flicked to one side. In a narrow gap between two stalls, a group of kids was peeking out there. And one bold child hurled a stone toward him. "Catch this." Bong-su tilted his head as the stone sped past, but it nicked his temple and blood trickled down his cheek. The kids jeered, "Look at the idiot, so Sam the fool, he can't even talk anymore." A kid pointed and mocked, "So Sam's mute." A murderous aura pressed oppressively around Bong-su. The child hurriedly rubbed his eyes, and he struggled to speak. Then Bong-su led the horse and turned to leave. Behind him, a kid drew a breath. He shouted insults, "So Sam lisping, so Sam is mute. He can't do anything right, he's an idiot." Small stones were thrown at Bong-su's back. He ignored the kids and walked away step by step. Makil was complaining, "A real man like me shouldn't be stuck here polishing weapons. That damn Dong-o hasn't shown his face for days now. Has he kicked the bucket somewhere already?" As he approached a room, he saw Bong-su open the door. Surprise flashed across his face. Inside, the armory gleamed. Makil suddenly realized, "What? How did you come out of there?" Bong-su just smiled without speaking, broom in hand. Makil thought in astonishment, "Wait, this brat already did all my work. He nearly died and now seems like a whole different person, nimble, efficient, even doing things I didn't ask for. Could he finally have become a person with a soul?" Bong-su pointed to a small pouch in his hand. When he opened the pouch, it was filled with coins. Makil was surprised. "This is..." Extreme astonishment spread across his eyes. Seeing the money, his eyes lit up in praise. "Not bad, kid. You finally understand how the world works. My people are different. Keep it up from now on." Makil couldn't help smiling as he hugged the pouch of coins and left. He walked away with a blank, stupid look on his face. He didn't even realize he was paying for his own coffin. Meanwhile, Makil strutted down the street, tossing the coin pouch in his hand, thinking smugly that one shouldn't sulk all day, be flexible like this. He gauged the weight. The bag's feeling pretty fat today. Maybe I'll visit Chosun today instead of Ying Ying. His steps stopped at the brothel. The madam greeted him enthusiastically. welcome, honored Makil. Makil immediately ordered, bring Chasun here. The madam was surprised right away. You usually ask for Ing. Wait, Chasun. He confirmed, yes. The madam's face darkened. Makil thrust the pouch forward. You doubt me, here's the money, take it. The madam smiled brightly. Thank you, master. Please come up to the last room on the second floor. I'll bring Chasun right away. He went inside and sat waiting, his breath quick with excitement. A seductive voice rang outside the door. I'm coming in. Chasun here, at your service, master. Seeing her hot looks and body, Makil was delighted. She was in a different class from Ing. He cleared his throat, trying to appear composed. Sit down here. Chasun knelt and served eagerly. Let me pour wine for you, master. Makil agreed. All right, pour away. By the way, her hands are really pretty. Come a little closer. Yes, closer still. From a crack in the wood, Bongsu's red eyes gleamed. He stood there silently watching everything. Earlier, the madam had invited him. If you go to the last room on the second floor, I'll bring Chasun right away. Makil clasped his hands behind his back and swaggered through the inn's main door. He sneered inwardly. Does he really pick a woman of that age to be his daughter? He glanced at the heavy pouch of coins in his hand. The madam grinned lewdly. Forget that thought, money's all that matters. At that moment, Bongsu approached. The madam, surprised, welcomed him. You are. When he saw him clearly, he recognized So Sam. Bongsu stepped forward silently. The madam's face fell when she saw him. Mute, do you know where this is? Get out of here before I. Bongsu thrust out a pouch of coins, silencing the madam mid-sentence. Bongsu stood there, both hands offering the pouch, making a few muffled sounds. The madam took it and slowly opened it to inspect. Inside was filled with coins. The madam's eyes shifted. She beamed and said, if you wait in the second room from the end on the second floor, I'll bring an Ing right away. Bongsu successfully entered the inn. His hand was still wrapped in bandages. Meanwhile, Makil had stripped off his clothes, ready to show off. I've still got my charm, he thought. The bandaged hand reached through and looped around his neck. Feeling the strangling, Makil's eyes flew open. His throat was squeezed so tight he couldn't make a sound. He groaned a few times as Bongsu tied a neat bow at his throat. Then the cord was tightened without mercy. Makil tried to glance back. What you bastard you are. Bongsu hauled up on the cord with force. He tightened it enough to lift the man's body. Makil's breathing grew labored. While savoring the moment of his prey's impending death, Bongsu's gaze remained unchanged, cold and deep. Both fell to the floor, Bongsu underneath, his hand still pulling the cloth tight. Makil's eyes rolled back white. Makil's hand flailed upward, and he instinctively grabbed at the cloth around his neck, trying to pull it loose. Bongsu leaned his back against the wall and kept pulling the cord, until Makil's struggling slowly exhausted itself. The light in his eyes dimmed, veins of red blood clouded them. Bongsu's gaze was like a ruthless wolf. Makil's hand fell limp to the floor, and Bongsu had succeeded in killing the second man since arriving in this world. Only then did Bongsu allow himself to relax. His foot brushed the soft hem of her dress. Chasun was now lost in sleep. Bongsu prepared to stand up, and he walked over to where she lay. Bongsu sat down beside her, his cold eyes glancing at the other side. He considered her little more than a grazer. Without will or strength to defend herself, Bongsu spared Chasun for the time being. He rose and walked toward the wooden wall. His hand touched the door, the hand still wrapped in the cloth cord. When the space screen appeared, Bongsu announced he was storing it in the inventory. Bongsu was secretly pleased. Good thing he'd practiced using the inventory. It would surely be very helpful for future hunts. His eyes flicked to the side, and when he saw the display, Bongsu wasn't very surprised. Indeed, I received experience points. Killing people in this world grants experience points. And when I accumulate enough experience, I can level up. Leveling up will make me stronger. And when I'm stronger, hunting will become much easier. If hunting gets easier, I'll gain experience even faster. That means I could become infinitely powerful here. What a wonderful world. Bongsu celebrated this unexpected bonus. Then he bent down to look at Makil's corpse. He signaled with his fingers as if to take a photo. Makil's face filled the frame. Bongsu said, too bad I don't have a camera. Outside, the madam was standing and waiting. Someone hurried over to her, and Ing quickly asked, were you in there? She urged, pointing at the room. Ing, why are you taking so long? Go in, though he's mute, he paid, so he's still our customer. She replied, I know, sorry was I a bit late. The madam thought to himself, but honestly. He called toward the room, are those two planning to move in together or what? No answer came. The madam knocked on the door, brother Makil, long time no see. Chasun, come out, does someone else need the room? Maybe you should rest a bit. Inside it was still silent. The madam grew annoyed. Do these two really dare ignore me? He took a breath and shouted, this Makil fellow. A piercing scream rang out from inside. The madam rushed to open the door. What's going on? Chasun, wrapped in a blanket, stared wide-eyed at what lay before her. Even the madam was shocked, her eyes bulging. He quickly stepped back. A pair of feet dangled in midair. Makil's body swung from the beam. The madam stammered, calling Makil. Anhul in the north has the Huel River, with the Yangtze running through it, forming a vast plain. This land has long been famed for its fertile soil and abundant rivers, with thriving trade. However, where money gathers, thieves and scoundrels follow. When bandits and wicked sects ran rampant, many stood up to eliminate them. And many clans and sects devoted to upholding righteous justice were founded in Anhul. Among them, the most prominent are the Namgong clan, one of the 5 great families of the Central Plains and the strongest sect in Anhul alongside the Danri clan. Although the Danri clan couldn't match the Namgong clan, they possessed an elite fighting force called the Zion Thien Sword Corps and an intelligence and enforcement group, the Black Fang Squad. Their reputation had spread far across Anhul. Especially the Black Fang Squad's intelligence gathering was so formidable that even the Jiang Brotherhood had to admit it. Those who never lagged behind anyone in information conceded that the Black Fang outperformed them at least within Anhul. But recently, that very Black Fang squad was troubled by a new case. Scene shifts to the Anhul capital. Inside a study, someone was reading letters. This person was Gi Dihyo, leader of the Black Fang squad. He froze and asked, "Another suicide? Is this a plague or what?" He thought to himself, nearly 100 people had killed themselves in the past few months. Suicides happen, of course, but at most 1 or 2 a month, never this many. Something very strange is going on. The strangest thing was how perfect the cases were. The evidence and circumstances of every case clearly pointed to suicide. But is that really plausible? Gi Dihyo asked who was the first to die. A subordinate replied, a clan blacksmith named Makil. He belonged to the clan. You mean your Danri clan subordinates confirmed that? Gi Dihyo asked further, so where did Makil kill himself? The report said at an inn, sir. He stood and walked toward the door. Let's go. The subordinate was surprised at this dedication. Sir, the captain needn't go in person. Gi Dihyo insisted, no, I must see with my own eyes. They went to that inn. He stopped before the room and asked, is it this room? The madam bowed respectfully and confirmed. Yes, my men in Chosun found Makil swinging from the beam in this room. Gi Dihyo glanced around, analyzing inwardly. If this suicide epidemic is actually a string of assassinations, then how did the killer enter this room to kill Makil? He ordered them to open the door and enter. They advanced step by step. Gi Dihyo was very careful. He stopped before a wooden wall. I've searched every nook and cranny. There's no way the killer could have infiltrated without being noticed. His hand touched it. If so, the only possibility left is right here. Gi Dihyo noticed the seam between 2 planks. His eyes showed curiosity and thought. When he pressed the boards, Gi Dihyo confirmed to himself that if those planks were removed, one could come and go freely. The problem was those planks had never been moved. He ordered, tell me, is there a way to remove these planks without taking off the roof? The madam reported, no, of course not. These planks are fixed into grooves on the ceiling beams and floor beams. They cannot be pulled out without first removing the beams. Gi Dihyo still wouldn't accept that absurd conclusion. So was it truly suicide? He changed questions. Was anyone in the next room when Makil died? The madam replied, yes, there was another guest in the room opposite him at the same time as Makil. Gi Dihyo's eyes went cold. Who was it? She answered, so Sam of the Danri clan. Currently Bongsu is leading a horse down the street. He was staring intently at the information board. The experience points gained from the person I recently killed were higher than those from previous victims. That person must be a martial artist. Killing a stronger one yields more experience points. But if I faced a true martial artist now, I'd definitely lose. Even the weakest martial artist of the Danri clan is stronger than me. I need prey that can bridge the gap between ordinary people and martial artists like the one I killed the other day. While he was pondering, a voice cut through Bong Su's thoughts. Long time no see, our So Sam looks sharper these days, huh? The people opposite called out, so Sam, long time no see, when you meet your seniors you should greet them. Big brother, did he really just ignore us? One of them interrupted. Hey, how could our So Sam do that? Bong Su eyed them suspiciously, street thugs from the corners of town. Even if So Sam was useless, he's still of the clan. Surely he didn't live his whole life to be bullied by scum like these. A shout rang out, you really dare ignore us. Looks like we need a private talk with So Sam then. They grabbed Bong Su by the hair and dragged him toward the narrow alley. Meanwhile, he wondered, could I just kill them all here and pass it off as a suicide spree? If I stuffed the bodies into the inventory and dumped them elsewhere, maybe it'd work, but making a scene here risks being discovered. Besides, killing all of them wouldn't grant many experience points. Better to take some hits for now and deal with it later. A fist landed on his body. Haven't seen him in a while and he's put on some meat. Must be enjoying good meals, huh? A shout came from the alley entrance. Stop hands. I told you to invite him over properly. Yong Pao called out in surprise for Jang Ho, big brother. Bong Su paid attention to that name. Jang Ho. He stroked Bong Su's horse. Nice horse. Our dark society's leader is a great horse lover, so I was thinking of offering this horse to him as a gift. Jang Ho glanced at him. What do you think? A calculating smile played on his lips. Bong Su wasn't stupid. His murderous intent was obvious. He'd intended to kill me for the horse, but he picked the wrong prey. Jang Ho saw Bong Su's prolonged silence and threatened, "You seem to be plotting something, but I won't ask twice." Bong Su replied, "Then just kill me, no need to ask twice." Yong Pao was shocked. "You can talk." He touched the man in front of him, then activated the inventory. A dagger shot out. It plunged straight into Jang Ho. Even then he couldn't believe it. What? He had been stabbed by a small sword. A dazzling light radiated into the air, lighting up the whole alley. Yong Pao stammered, "Chains are iron." The system displayed Miram online. "Congratulations, you have leveled up from LV1 to LV2. Panic flashed in his eyes, because Bong Su stood there like a dangerously living present. Yong Pao screamed in panic. "Demon, it's a demon, run, kill it, everyone get up. Kill that demon for me." Yong Pao gaped and blurted, "What?" Before everyone's eyes he was swallowed, vanished from the narrow alley. He panicked and bolted toward the alley entrance, constantly asking himself, "What the hell is this?" His hands flailed in the air as the distance to the alley head kept stretching away. Yong Pao cried in despair, "Save me." A powerful pull yanked him backward. Yong Pao tried to hold onto the ground, but his body kept sliding. He despaired, "This can't be happening. Am I really going to die here? You were always a lowly, useless thing. You were nothing more than a walking rice jar, only able to grin like an idiot when we beat you and extorted your money." Bong Su stepped up beside him. Yong Pao grew even more terrified. "I'm just trying to make a little money like always. That's all I do." He brought a foot down. Then Bong Su grabbed the back of the man's neck. Dragged, skidding on the ground, Yong Pao cursed inwardly. "Damn, I never thought I'd die at the hands of a half-baked demon like you." As night fell, everything went pitch black around him, and his vision blurred. Then gradually came back into focus. Yong Pao sat bolt upright. Bong Su turned and asked, "You're awake?" He stammered, "A demon." Seeing him approach, Yong Pao pressed his lips together and held his breath. The cold blade's edge pressed against his cheek. Bong Su interrogated, "The guy who acted all high and mighty and died first, who was he?" He replied, "You mean Jang Ho." "You confirm it was Jang Ho? What did he say then?" Yong Pao got the hint. Black Snake Society, the Black Snake Society itself. They are one of the underworld factions that control the alleys of Bingyang. Jang Ho is a member of the Black Snake Society. Bong Su took note of this. A member, huh? Now that he thought about it, Jang Ho had mentioned his leader too. Yong Pao confessed, "Yes, the leader of the Black Snake Society is Bang Po Yom. It was that bastard Bang Po Yom who ordered Jang Ho to kill you and steal your horse, Young So Sam." He thought to himself that the underworld and the Black Snake Society had hierarchies and bosses. They resembled organized crime groups in this world. Bong Su sheathed his blade and praised, "Good. Now tell me everything you know about the underworld and the Black Snake Society. If your information is useful, I might spare your life." Yong Pao was elated. "I can live. Is that for real?" But after he confessed everything, the man was dealt with by him. Bong Su raised his hand to summon the inventory and breathed out. "Have I finished dealing with them all?" He looked back to find nothing behind him. Bong Su wearily sat down. He thought to himself that today he'd learned a few rather important things. The underworld, I need some offerings to level up using those who sit between ordinary people and martial masters. And by chance I encountered perfect targets. From now on, I'll prepare to hunt these guys. He looked at his hands, now unwounded from the level up. They had completely vanished. As soon as he leveled up, all previous wounds were healed. The scars on his hands and every injury on his body had disappeared without a trace. Would this work if my heart or brain were damaged, I wonder? If I'm about to level up, I could take a bit of a risk. And that beam of light too, the light enveloped a person during a level up. It's a vulnerability of leveling. It looks flashy, but also easily attracts unwanted attention. It must be hidden. Likewise, using the inventory to kill, I can't let anyone see that. A predator hiding among prey must look completely ordinary. When you look most like everyone else and can't be singled out, that's when you become the ultimate predator. I should only level up after the hunt is over, or when I'm alone with the prey. Bong Su stood up, ready to leave the alley. His hand gripped the horse's reins. Bong Su thought that if Jang Ho had been a bit more careful or stronger, he might have been in big trouble. His silent camouflage likely wouldn't have been enough. Bong Su melted into the bustling streets, telling himself he needed to grow powerful fast without being noticed. By killing more and hunting stronger beasts. Yes, that's exactly what I'm thinking. He was stopped while walking. "You are So Sam." He looked at the man in surprise. Gi Dihyo struck first, asking, "Are you the one who killed Makil?" His hand on his shoulder concealed a surge of strength. A notification popped up. The system has encountered a critical error. A critical error appeared in the Miram online system. Continuing the game will be difficult, but still possible. Sitting in the stable, he thought the error window popped up right after he hit level 2. The cause must be him. I probably shouldn't exist in this world. Even with a companion system, it's obvious this would cause some anomalies. Thinking this, Bongsu formed a hypothesis. But is my presence here the biggest critical error? There's no reason to stop now. Continuing the game will be difficult, but still possible. The strength stats on the screen now displayed as bars. He was surprised to see this, nodding inwardly that stats that were question marks before had turned into meters. Is it due to the critical error? Maybe because reality can't be perfectly quantified like in a game. Bongsu pressed the skill button. The screen flipped to a new page. A host of information appeared. Reading it, he muttered, "Parry fist." These are all ordinary passive skills common to every character in Mirim Online. But this skill, Spirit Eye, I've never seen this skill before. There's no separate description at all. What kind of skill is this exactly? The system displays activation conditions met. Spirit Eye is auto-activating. An enemy at least 10 levels higher than you is within a 20 m radius. When the countdown began, Bongsu sprang to his feet. Is this some kind of early warning from the system? He stepped toward the door. When the countdown reached 13 seconds, Bongsu stopped near the door. His fist clenched tighter. The door flung open into a shaft of light. Bongsu thought to himself that it probably wasn't an enemy. Not many brave fools would dare invade the Danri clan. And even if they did, an intruder wouldn't loiter around in broad daylight like this. That meant it had to be some sect leader or head of a household. He didn't know how big a 10-level gap truly was, but considering the effort and near-death experience it took to reach level 2, the difference had to be huge. How many carnivores must one kill to reach level 10,000s or tens of thousands? This person is as strong as all those beasts combined. Among the members of the Danri clan, the most likely candidate is. The door swung wide open. Gi Dihyo and his subordinate stood at the threshold. Bongsu stared at them with wide eyes. He came forward and stood before Bongsu. Placing a hand on Bongsu's shoulder, "You are so Sam." The hand pressed down with a little force. Gi Dihyo entered and immediately demanded, "Are you the one who killed Makal?" He acted terrified, gaping, and unable to form a word. Bongsu's mouth kept making startled noises. Gi Dihyo's expression hardened. His hand squeezed down hard on Bongsu's shoulder. He felt as if the bones in his shoulder were being crushed. A piercing pain shot through him, an electric current running along his body. His eyes widened from the pain. A small ball of electricity condensed inside Bongsu. While Gi Dihyo continued to increase his internal power, a small black orb formed. His hand stopped and lifted off the shoulder. By then the fabric on the shoulder was worn through. Bongsu still stood there dazed and suspiciously watching him. Gi Dihyo snorted, then turned away with a sullen face. "Let's go." A subordinate called anxiously, "My lord, yes sir." He watched the two of them leave. His face went as dark as ink. In the darkness, Bongsu's eyes glowed red like a predatory beast. Everything sank into pitch black night. When they stepped outside, Soo-hyun curiously asked, "My lord, why did you leave without interrogating him? Don't you suspect that kid, so Sam?" Gi Dihyo replied, "I already did. So I infused my true chi into his body to probe his meridians. If he had practiced any basic martial arts, traces would certainly remain." Soo-hyun asked in surprise, "So what did you find?" He answered, "Nothing at all. There isn't a drop of internal energy in him, just an ordinary child who's never trained in martial arts." I wonder, were all those people not assassinated but self-destructed? If it truly was an epidemic, how many more lives would be lost? On that eerily bright night, contrary to Gi Dihyo's fears, the self-destruction plague vanished from Bungyang. Instead, a fetid wind of blood rain began rising through the city. On a certain moonlit night, raindrops fell softly, and the small town was completely silent. At an inn that was still open, a few people sat inside eating and drinking. One man raised his cup and drank, then slammed it down on the table. He wiped his mouth with his sleeve and asked, "Heard any news?" The other understood immediately. "You mean that nameless swordsman? Everyone's been talking about him." He cut in, "You should call him the nameless hero. He's busy personally exterminating those evil cultists." A companion at the table whispered, "Keep your voice down, someone might hear." He kept speaking loudly for them all to hear. Half of the powerful dark sects like the White Tiger Unit and the Red Wolf sect have already been annihilated. The man across signaled thoughtfully that a few still remained. If the dark sects heard this, it wouldn't be good. He didn't care and said they'd soon be next. Our great nameless hero will crush those bastards. In a corner, someone had been watching them. Clad in a hooded cloak, this person left the inn. They looked mysterious, their face not even visible, and stepped out into the rain, passing by a beggar sitting by the roadside. The beggar noticed them, as a lightning strike illuminated the figure in the heavy rain. Outside the main gate, someone was on guard, but he was negligent, dozing against the rear gate. Someone annoyed by this knocked hard on his head, then scolded, "Are you dozing off? Own up, you worthless subordinate." The man beside him ordered, "Sober up." Don't you know everything's in chaos because of that nameless swordsman? 3 dark sects have already been wiped out, 3 of them. Now only our Black Snake Society remains. The guard's mind grew foggy, though his eyes stuck half shut, and his comrade walloped him. You bastard, are you dozing off again? But the man collapsed, blood spurting out. As everyone drew their swords, don't tell me that nameless swordsman didn't know the danger creeping up behind him. Both gate guards were dealt with swiftly at the main gate of the Black Snake Society. The blade flashed in the rainy night. The heads of a few of them tumbled clatteringly down the steps. Bongsu's indifferent, casual gaze flicked over. He decisively shoved the heavy gate open with both hands. Bongsu entered alone. Heavy rain soaked his cloak. Arrows like rain shot out from inside, and Bongsu quickly slipped back. He frowned, eyes sharp and alert toward the front. A crowd had long been waiting, weapons brandished in their hands. Someone from that side shouted out, "Hey, I knew you'd come, you damned nameless rat." Faced with their overwhelming numbers, Bongsu stood there utterly calm. Both sides froze into stillness, no one rushed in yet. The crowd before him stretched along the city wall. Lightning crashed down from the high sky. The leader ordered, "Kill him, put that bastard down for me." A mob surged forward. They circled around Bongsu. A dense killing intent radiated from him. Each sword stroke sent a gust smelling of blood and rain. System message, Hontao Thien Quan. A crimson blade like the Reaper's scythe slashed toward them. Everyone stood stunned as if someone had hit the pause button. But he kept sweeping, turning the place into a river of blood. Bongsu's body moved fluidly and flexibly as he rampaged through them. A few from afar, seeing that bloody gale, fearfully looked back at their leader. He cursed in anger, "Damn it, get out of the way, I'll kill that bastard." He rushed toward him. Bongsu grabbed the arm of a sacrificial lackey, then flung him toward the leader, and pierced them both with his sword. The leader, surprised to have just stepped out, was swiftly slain by one of his strikes. Behind Bongsu, someone lunged in a surprise attack. "This slippery bastard's got you now, you piece of trash." He glanced coldly at the attacker. Bongsu drew his sword, while the man was laughing arrogantly, standing still and offering up his head. A flare of light burst in the night. He summoned his inventory, a sword shot straight at the man. Even as he was dying, the man couldn't comprehend how a blade had launched from behind him. Warm blood spurted toward him, and from behind someone had stabbed into Bongsu. His body crumpled down. The man wildly swung his broken saber, and finally landed a proper hit on you. "Seeing you slaughter our brothers like that, I thought you were some kind of monster. Turns out you're just a mere mortal, which means you can be killed." You grabbed the blade barehanded from your own body. The hat on your head fell to the ground. They realized the horrific truth, but that bastard is smiling. Their action enraged Bongsu, making him even more feral. A heavy downpour began to fall, near a small wooden house beside them. Someone panicked inwardly, thinking the screams had quieted down a lot. "Damn it, is he planning to kill us all by himself?" One man clutched his head and wailed that we only extort townsfolk a bit, traffic humans, sell girls and bootleg liquor. Only that, we only kill useless people. Goddamn, there are worse people than us in this world. Just because they're strong, does that make us weaklings? One of them decided, "Damn it, kill him right here. Go through the back alley and you'll reach the sect master's manor." "All right, come here, you bastard. In the darkness, we hold the advantage. They're hiding, wait for Bongsu to pass when he reaches the gate." This man shouted and gave the order to fire. A volley of arrows launched from the wooden house. A thick rain of arrows fell where he stood. A curious guy peered out. "You dead yet?" There was a thunk, and he turned to see one of his men collapse. In an instant, the heads of the others flew off as if without wings. He stood there, his vision blurring with blood. Pitiful cries rang out, "Help him." He froze. "Brothers, don't tell me they're all dead, huh?" Seeing Bongsu approach, the man asked, "Are you the nameless swordsman? What the hell do you want? What did we do wrong for you to hunt us down like this?" Having said that, he gaped, for he had clearly seen Bongsu's face. He shouted, "You're no Grim Reaper, what right do you have?" Before he finished the sentence, his head flew off, and his body thudded heavily to the ground. You said calmly, "I only want one thing, your lives." Outside the main gate of the Black Snake Society, blood from the 2 headless corpses leaked, mixing with the rain. Outside were also numerous corpses. Lightning cleared the sky as Bongsu walked to a house at the foot of the mountain. He thought silently that only the Black Snake Society's sect master, Bang Po Yom, remained. First was the White Tiger unit. After killing Jang Ho and leveling up, I'm still too weak compared to them. Bongsu recalled. A bait, an ambush, an arson are the tactics I used to hunt. When the White Tiger unit's boss realized what was happening, more than half of the White Tiger unit had already died. During that time, the magistrate and the villagers gave me a nickname because of those killings, the Nameless Swordsman. After donning the guise of the Nameless Swordsman, purging the Black Society became even easier. When I killed the White Tiger unit's boss, my level was 5 and I received my first active skills. System update. Congratulations, you have learned a new skill. Lightness Art Tam Tai Sword Technique. Lightness Art Level 1, Proficiency 0% Body Technique that makes the body lighter. Current applicable level 0. Tam Tai Sword Technique, first move Hon Tao Thien Quan level 1, proficiency 0%, a powerful horizontal slash, current applicable level 1. Bong Su rejoiced, at last I can face the Black Society head-on. By the time the kids started playing dress-up as the Nameless Swordsman, the Red Wolf had been wiped from the world, and the remnants of the Black Society left in Bingyang were reduced to only the Black Snake Society. It was still on a pouring rainy night. An old man sat under the eaves, wearing a robe on his back embroidered with a snake sigil full of sinister aura. This man was the sect leader of the Black Snake Society, Bang Po Yom. The stone path before the eaves stretched toward the gate. A lightning bolt struck, highlighting Bong Su's figure as he advanced inside. He removed his hat, letting the heavy rain pour over him. Po Yom lowered his head, cold rain streaming over his aged face. The old man asked, "Are you the Nameless Swordsman?" Bong Su stepped forward in silence, holding the sword stained with the blood of many villains. Po Yom continued, "Rumor says you're a great hero, so why do you dress in such a sinister, concealing way?" "You denied it, I'm not a great hero." The old man, surprised, "Not a great hero? Then why have you been slaughtering members of the Black Society?" Bong Su revealed, "Because I'm not a great hero." Po Yom was stunned at that. He helplessly burst into laughter. "You fooled everyone in Bingyang." You replied, "I didn't fool them, they chose to believe it." Po Yom lifted his sword, "You're rather interesting. Even if today I end up in the Yellow Springs, I won't regret it. Come then, whether you are the Nameless Swordsman or not, you came to kill me, I will test your strength." A cold, murderous aura radiated from the old man, facing Bong Su, whose chi suddenly surged. The two faced each other, pressure emanating as if to crush the opponent. Raindrops pattered onto the ground. A bloodthirsty gleam flashed in his eyes, and a light also flickered in the old man's gloomy, aged eyes. Their swords clashed with a sharp, piercing ring. Light radiated, the sword intent keen as a strong gust of wind. One of Bong Su's sword slashes swept across the opponent. Po Yom forcefully blocked. He spotted an opening, and when the blade swung, you leaned back too short, you couldn't reach. The tip of the sword missed into the empty air at Bong Su's ribs, but still sliced through his arm. Fresh blood spurted out, and Bong Su was sent flying backward. He stood stunned and glanced at his wounded arm. Po Yom grew excited at the sight. It seemed your body wasn't in top condition. The old man seized the opportunity and lunged again. Bong Su reacted nimbly and used his sword to parry. The blades clashed and sparked. Po Yom fought more fiercely, attacking like a storm. He thought to himself that the man kept targeting his wound. At this rate, I'd surely lose, even if I had to sacrifice flesh. Another slash cut across Bong Su. The old man demanded, "What the hell are you thinking?" You blocked the strike and countered with the Tam Tai Sword Technique. He laughed and asked, "Got you?" The sword in his hand coiled like a snake around Bong Su's wrist. You gasped in shock, "A serpent sword." Fresh blood gushed from there. Bong Su felt the pain where the serpent sword coiled. Po Yom smugly said, "Impressive effect. Yes, it's the first time I've used the serpent sword." Bong Su gritted his teeth, trying not to cry out in pain. Horror showed in the old man's eyes when you suddenly appeared and closed in on him. A burst of blue light flared in the space, and then exploded. The shockwave spread around. In front of Bong Su was only thick dust. One of his arms had been severed. Suddenly, serpent swords filled the sky from all directions. Seeing this for the first time, Bong Su gaped in astonishment. The fragments of serpent swords merged into one. He stared wide-eyed at that horrifying sight. The serpent sword transformed into a giant entity, making Bong Su look extremely tiny standing before it. Po Yom strolled out and said, "You're strange, very strange, not hesitating to use your own body as bait, huh? That's not how a martial artist fights, that's the way of an assassin or a hunter." The cold rain pounding his face only sharpened his senses. Po Yom sneered and asked, "Do you know why?" He opened his jacket to show his cards. In life-or-death duels among martial artists, the more tricks you hide, the better. I have more and you have less, that's your fatal strategic mistake. Bong Su calmly watched the opponent reveal everything. Seeing you surrounded by serpent swords, Po Yom spoke, "It seems you've run out of moves." At first, Bong Su let the serpent swords slowly surround him. Bang! Po Yom was smug, then die. The serpent swarm roared. The Nameless Swordsman, the wide mouth of the serpent sword yawned open. Bong Su sprang up quickly and hooked a sweeping kick with his leg, a thick cloud of dust blotting out sight. Bang! Po Yom thought to himself, "You dare use a dust screen to blind me." He shouted, "It's all useless." The bodies of the serpent swords coiled through that dust, and its sharp tail struck Bong Su. Bang! Po Yom gleeing, "Finally I've got you, brat." Suddenly he realized, wait, this is. He saw the serpent sword pierce, not you, but a member of the Black Snake Society. So where's the true body then? Bong Su was above, the sharp blade pointed down. He executed the Tam Tai Sword Technique's second form, the heart-piercing slash. The old man sensed the situation turning against him. From above, a strong sword intent descended and pierced Bang Po Yom. he spat blood, and a look of terror flashed in his eyes. Bong-su pressed the attack, driving the sword hard through. The old man's hand blocked the blade, his harsh gasp echoing. You were quite surprised had he used his hand in an instant to stop the blade and protect his heart. Bang Po-yom still had strength to resist. Not yet, it's not over. The sword transformed into a wending iron cord in midair. His other hand clamped onto your sword. He shouted, "Where do you think you can run? I will not let you escape." Bong-su then summoned his inventory, and corpses crawled out from inside. He exclaimed in shock, "What?" The fragments of those bodies blocked the sword's path. Bang Po-yom landed, his expression unreadable. He thought to himself, corpses suddenly appearing from nowhere to block my blade. Could he still be hiding other tricks up his sleeve? The ground was strewn with body fragments. The rain poured down and you were nowhere to be seen. Bang Po-yom shouted, "You cowardly rat, where did you run off to? I didn't expect you'd dare use corpses in combat, truly a madman." A random arrow suddenly flew in from nowhere. He used his sword to block it. Bang Po-yom lost his temper and barked, "Stop these disgusting tricks now." Another arrow shot in from the side. It whizzed past his head. Bang Po-yom froze, "Don't tell me in this situation." He saw the shape-shifting of a fierce beast and only then realized, am I the prey? Bang Po-yom me. Bang Po-yom staggered back as a wave of black chi surged forward. The old man grew more and more frantic. "Found you." The serpent sword thrust into that patch of black chi, and then Bang Po-yom realized, wait, that one is also. Shards of corpse fell. The murderous chi like a beast lurched up behind him. A strike from behind pierced Bang Po-yom's chest. Time seemed to freeze in that moment. You withdrew the sword and the old man staggered forward. Bang Po-yom's chest had a tear. He snarled, "You bastard. So you've wiped out the Black Snake Society members in Bingyang. Why on earth did you do that?" He heard the answer, "Do I need a reason? Humans have always killed one another, since they still look like apes until this day, even after they built civilization. Isn't it the same here? The strong trample and seize from the weak. You're behind the sword at my throat. This time I'm simply playing the strong one." He felt cold at his neck, bloodshot veins showing in his eyes. High in the sky, the moon gradually reappeared as the clouds cleared. The downpour shifted below. From the small house at the foot of the mountain, a burst of power exploded, lighting up the surroundings. Bong-su stood on the stone-paved road, the sword raised on his wrist, the blade cutting the fabric wrapped around his wrist. Bong-su thought to himself, with the death of all Black Snake Society members in Bingyang, my preparations are complete. Now it's time to move to the next phase, where the strong grow stronger and the prey becomes harder to hunt. Enter the Jianghu of martial arts. At the headquarters of a mysterious organization located beneath a treacherous mountain, there were already dozens of people inside. Sitting behind the screen was a man of imposing bearing. He asked how much longer until the true demon war. Someone below answered, 2 years remaining. 2 years, it's time to slowly kick off the grand plan then. Gwangwoon. He stepped out with his subordinates. This man ordered the execution of the first plan. Gwangwoon issued a decree. A new day began. The sky was clear and blue. You led the horse doing the day's chores. On the street, people were gossiping. "Have you heard, Brother Hall?" The two chatted. The nameless swordsman finally wiped out the Black Snake Society. Keep talking. The merchants and courtesans are all in an uproar. Who would have thought he really cleared out the bandits in Bingyang? At this skill level, calling him the nameless swordsman isn't enough. He should be honored as the nameless hero. He replied thoughtfully, but honestly, I still have some doubts. What about this man surprised you? He questioned, even if he's a hero, is it right to have killed so many people? One man disagreed. Friend, shut up with that. Think about what those bastards did to us. That scum deserves to be eaten alive for their crimes. Every one of them deserves to die. He was still uneasy. Even so, a third person cut in, even the prefecture or those so-called righteous sects. Who cares about common folk like us? After all, only the nameless swordsman is protecting us. Hearing that, he fell silent and pondered. At last he let out a sigh, and conceded, true, if not him, who would act for us? The three of them reached a consensus. A Fang Su fanatic shouted, raising his cup for the nameless swordsman who cleared the scum from Bingyang. Long live the nameless swordsman. The two behind rolled their eyes at each other, then joined their friend in celebrating. Serves those Black Snake Society bastards right. Long live the nameless swordsman. The townsfolk in the street shared in the joy. The festivities spread across the whole street. Bong-su led his horse standing there, looking somber. He knew it might be time for him to leave this place. Night fell before Bong-su returned to the manor. He led the horse toward the stable. System notice, an enemy at least 10 levels higher than you is within 10 m. Seeing the warning, Bong-su stopped in his tracks. He looked toward the tightly closed door. Bong-su opened the door, and inside 2 people were waiting. Among them was Gi Dihyo. He thought to himself, Master Gi Dihyo and the man beside him were the Danri clan hosts. This was Danri Chenwu. Bong-su studied the opponent's aged face. He bowed down on his knees, wondering what they were doing here. Chenwu patted the horse's head. maybe it's time to say goodbye to you. Bongsu raised his head a little, sneaking a look. The old man took a few slow steps forward. Jinwoo revealed on the upcoming full moon night, the second young lady of the Namgang clan will be married. Gi Dihyo guessed, are you sure you want to give away your favorite horse, the head of the family? Confirmed, of course, so that one of my children can step into the Namgang clan. I could even do things far worse than that. He asked curiously, are we talking about a marriage alliance or a master-disciple ceremony? Jinwoo replied, I've said it before, whatever it takes for my children. Are you planning to marry off a daughter or send a son to train as a disciple? Isn't using 2 planks to cross the river easier than 1 plank? Gi Dihyo hesitated, but the Namgang clan might not accept the kids. He chuckled, that's why I called you here. I don't care what tricks you use, just make sure this succeeds. The old man's hand rested on Gi Dihyo's shoulder. Internal energy gathered there. Jinwoo ordered, depart at dawn tomorrow, you will have a lot to do. He obeyed without question. The elder Suk remembered, when you go to the Namgang clan, bring that thing with you. You'll need it to care for the horses. Gi Dihyo bowed to Jinwoo and left, following the head's orders. He glanced at Bongsu standing dazed nearby. Gi Dihyo assessed silently. The next day, a long line of people formed at the mansion gate. Bongsu leaned against the wall, standing beside the horses. He thought to himself, how can I learn real martial arts instead of only the system's skills? I tried to replicate that old man's moves, but it was only a cheap imitation. The worst way is self-study through secret manuals. The best is to seek out a master. But nowadays, becoming someone's disciple isn't easy. In this world, I'm already 18. They say starting martial arts at this age is very difficult. But this trip is a perfect opportunity. The Namgang clan is one of the 5 great families and holds absolute power in Anhul. Surely there will be ways and stronger prey. When the team was settled, the head announced that all members had gathered and were ready. The group slowly set off. Gi Dihyo asked his subordinate, good, the horses are prepared, is anyone missing? The other replied, except for the young master and the young lady, everyone is present. Hearing this, he gritted his teeth. Gi Dihyo ordered, Danri Ganghi is probably at some tavern in Bungyang, and Danri Hui hates traveling with subordinates, so she'll arrive later. Gi Dihyo shouted departure. The group slowly moved toward the gate. He suddenly raised his hand as a signal to stop. Gi Dihyo sensed an unusual aura coming from the gate, and he helplessly sighed. Again. Danri Ganghi, the eldest son of the Danri clan, a martial prodigy with extraordinary talent and intuition. His skill is more than enough to join the Namgang clan as an outer sect disciple. But the problem lies in his personality. He was superficial and immersed in decadence. Vile rumors always swirled around him. Gi Dihyo stepped forward. He's hitting someone again. What a piece of trash. Someone was flung against the wall, dust and smoke billowing everywhere. Seeing that, he widened his eyes in astonishment. Ganghi cried out in alarm, young master of Danri. Bongsu paid attention to the situation here. The system announced, an enemy at least 10 levels higher than you is within 20 meters. Ganghi snarled, bastard, you son of a... A stream of vital energy burst forth, I'll kill you. Gi Dihyo gaped in amazement, a hint of interest flickering across his face. Bongsu realized that he was a master, and an extremely powerful one. His attention collided with an old man restraining Ganghi. That old man was Tang Wu, his foot pressed down on him. Gi Dihyo shouted angrily, stop. Tang Wu turned and asked what? A fierce aura radiated from him. Gi Dihyo forced his voice out. I am the captain of the Danri clan, Gi Dihyo, and the person you are chasing is the young master of the Danri clan. If you do not retreat at once, I will not stand by and watch. Gi Dihyo's face darkened, his men behind brandished weapons ready to fight. Bongsu thought to himself, who is he? Someone even the captain who knows Anhul's martial world well doesn't recognize, yet clearly an external style master of immeasurable level. With the forces here, they absolutely could not confront him. Tang Wu's eyes flashed green. He arrogantly thought to himself, I will not kill to the death. A lion never uses full force just to kill an ant. Tang Wu twirled his ear and asked, Danri clan, what's that? He snapped his fingers, can you eat it? Gi Dihyo felt his dignity insulted. How dare you disrespect the Danri clan? Tang Wu bluntly retorted, I don't know whether the Danri clan can be eats, or is something to be trodden underfoot. That arrogant attitude made him grind his teeth in fury. Gi Dihyo drew his sword. He ordered the entire Black Crow unit to protect the young master. A squad thundered forward, blades and swords raised toward the opponent. Tang Wu took aim. A powerful aura emanated from his hand. A palm strike launched, carrying profound inner force. A wave of force shot toward the group. It headed straight for Gi Dihyo. Those in front collapsed like chopped bamboo. The center of his chest smoked beyond belief. This was. Others felled by the soul-chasing moth technique. Gi Dihyo lay on the ground blurting, could it be that you are? Tang Wu sneered, your looks aren't bad for a mere foot soldier. I am the soul-chasing deadly hand, Tang Wu, one of the 20 greatest masters in the martial world. They include the 2 exalted. The 3 oddities, the 5 uniques, and the 10 greats. Among them, the strongest of the Sichuan Tang clan belongs to the 10 great sects. Soul-chasing deadly hand Tang Wu, whoever dares challenge Tang Wu. Even if they die as wandering ghosts, they cannot escape his deadly hand. Of those who fell, only Bong Su remained standing. He is one of the top 20 masters in the martial world. The rogue of the Danri clan has already brought great trouble. If you offend someone of Tang Wu's caliber, depending on severity, the Danri clan might have to close their sect. How will this end? Suddenly a girl called out, "Sir, let's move on, he's just a clueless country bumpkin." Tang Wu pressed his lips, trying to restrain himself. His expression shifted and he smiled. "You think so? After this, he should know what the heavens and earth mean. Who would have thought a descendant of the righteous path would get drunk and cause trouble so early in the morning? I wanted to take at least one arm, but I won't be too cruel to a righteous brat. When he wakes, tell him that if he dares harass women again, he won't live long." Tang Wu warned, understood. There was still a needle stuck in Gi Dihyo's forehead, thanks to Tang Sr. for the mercy. Only then did he withdraw. The needles in the others' heads were pulled out. They transformed into small green fragments of chi. All the fragments flew back toward Tang Wu. He called HWA, "Let's go." But at that moment, Tang Wu noticed something. The small figure of the boy stood there among the people who were struggling to get up. Bong Su still gripped the horse saw. The earlier events had not affected him. He examined Bong Su with an inquisitive gaze. While the depths of the boy's eyes were calm like a black pit, Tang Wu wanted to verify and said, "HWA, wait here a moment." Then he stepped toward the boy. Bong Su was surprised. "Is he coming toward me?" He wondered why he couldn't figure it out. Tang Wu stopped in front of him. HWA softly asked, "Sir, what is it?" He replied, "Nothing serious, I just have a few questions for this boy." The boy was surprised. He had questions for me, something to resolve directly with me. Tang Wu asked curiously, "What is your name?" Bong Su froze at the question. He repeated in a tone that carried a chill, "I ask, what is your name?" The boy still looked at Tang Wu with that unusually calm gaze. He frowned, his pupils flashed with a strange light. Tang Wu puzzled, "This one. Gi Dihyo reports that kid is from the stables, but he can't speak, sir." He tilted his head to observe. Could the boy be mute? Tang Wu snorted, narrowing his eyes at the other. Bong Su suspected inwardly, "Don't tell me now. He's appraising me, as if gazing upon something precious. If a master like Tang Wu looks at a brat as if admiring a treasure, this is an opportunity to escape the stable, so Sam disguise." His gaze swept coldly over Bong Su. Bong Su's hand was suddenly seized by Tang Wu. He channeled chi into him to probe. A look of delight appeared on his face. Tang Wu turned to face them and asked Gi Dihyo, "Are you on your way to Namgong High?" Gi Dihyo answered, "Yes, because of the marriage arrangement." Tang Wu asked further, "Then what is that kid's role?" Gi Dihyo reported, "He is in charge of the stables, taking care of the horse to be used as the bridal gift." He requested, "Then may I take him with me?" Gi Dihyo refused. "No, sir, without him no one can handle that horse." Tang Wu concluded, "So just deliver the horse to Namgong High, is that right? Once there, I will take the kid, and I will personally explain the matter to Namgong High. If necessary, I will write to your master and include some compensation. How about that? Is that sufficient?" Gi Dihyo still wanted to refuse, but despite himself, his words caught in his throat when he saw Tang Wu's stern expression. Gi Dihyo yielded. "After all, we plan to hand him over to the Namgong family with the horse, so it should be fine if Senior Tang wants to take him, sir." Hearing this, Tang Wu laughed loudly. "Good, very good. What are you standing there for? Why not hurry and follow me?" He quietly observed Bong Su. Gi Dihyo rubbed his face with both hands, forcing himself to wake up, then ordered that the young master be taken to the doctor immediately, while the others continued the journey. Bong Su was indifferent to everything happening, while Gi Dihyo, recalling the oppressive feeling from earlier, broke into a cold sweat. When Tang Wu's dark gaze had stared at him, night fell and the full moon rose. The group stopped at a large inn. Gi Dihyo chose this as their resting point. "Today we will stay here overnight." The group went inside and split into tables, while the boy remained alone in the stable. In the dark night, Bong Su sat there silently. He discovered that after the battle with the Black Snake Society, his storage summoning skill had improved a lot. Currently, the range I can summon it is about 1 meter around me. With more practice, I might expand that range further. Thanks to that, I can pull a sword or even a corpse out of my storage and launch it. However, the launch speed isn't fast enough yet. A master could still react in time. Bong Su scooped a handful of sand, then let each grain slip through his fingers. He immediately summoned the storage. The grains were about to fall to the ground. A blue light from the storage appeared. Bong Su clenched his fist. Only light radiated from his palm. He inwardly rejoiced, "I've grown much more proficient with it. And there's another way to use the storage, which is..." He tossed the remaining handful of sand into his mouth and swallowed it down. They vanished while inside him. Bong Su could tell that anything entering his body he could send into that storage. Truly a miraculous thing, the wondrous storage. Suddenly a sound rang out. Tang Hua's voice called out helplessly, grandfather really is. I don't understand what's so special about this guy that you insist on bringing him here at this hour. She ordered, come with me. Bongsu was curious about this appearance. Everyone in the dining room glanced over. Tang Hwa led him to Tang Wu's room. I'm coming in. The wooden door opened. Inside, Tang Wu sat waiting. He ordered them onto the platform and told them to sit in a meditative posture. Bongsu was surprised by that command. Tang Hwa obeyed her grandfather's words. He also sat down in meditation. Tang Wu instructed him to strip, take everything off. Bongsu didn't ask and complied immediately. Seeing this, he praised, good. Your innate constitution isn't bad either. Tang Wu handed him an item, the long Fuang golden needle. Tang Hwa was astonished. Grandfather, what the hell are you planning to do? Could it be? Tang Wu slammed the wooden box onto the floor. He asked, do you know the phrase Jail Wawiji? It means that a Huainan tangerine, once brought north, will turn into a thread-bearing tree. Bongsu's eyes widened in amazement when he heard that. A Huainan tangerine will become a true thread in the north. If Huainan is the Danri clan, then the north is our Tang clan. If one insists he's a So-Sam, then the true threat is. Tang Wu announced, from now on I'll cast a great art on you that will cause excruciating pain. You'll even wish you would die. But if you can grit your teeth and endure, I'll give you much more. I'll even cure your muteness. He gave him a choice. Do you dare? Light from Tang Wu's inner skill washed over Bongsu's puzzled face. Tang Hwa stepped forward to advise, grandfather, how could you decide something so important on your own without the elder's consent? His grim expression silenced the rest of her words. Tang Hwa looked at Tang Wu with fear. Her mouth opened but no words came out. The corner of his mouth curled slightly. Suddenly Tang Wu burst into loud laughter, and she pressed her lips together, saying nothing. The two of them were right across from him. Bongsu realized, so that's how it is. When Tang Hwa yielded and stepped back to the side, he glanced at today's protagonist. Then, the box was opened and a light shone within. Tang Wu pulled out a needle. Kid, are you ready to take on the Tang surname of the Tang clan? Bongsu had been waiting for this moment. Tang Wu pondered, in the martial world there are many names for physical talents in cultivation. Heavenly Meridian Body, Reincarnation, Saintly Form, 9 Grade Sacred Bone, Heavenly Martial Heart Meridian, Kainkun Sacred Bone, all described as qualities that appear once in 10 years. 100 years, or even once in 1,000 years. Those are such rare constitutions that being born with one can make you famed across the Jianghu. Yet among them, the absolute supreme talent. I discovered completely by accident. 10 years, 100 years, 2,000 years, so what? What do those things even mean? This brat possesses a constitution that has appeared for the first time since the martial world began. A body of no meridians. At first glance, I thought it was just a normal body that had never trained. But inside it, there are absolutely no meridians or acupoints that a normal person should have. The emptiness doesn't exist at all. It's as if he's not even human. Yet without pathways, which means the paths must be created by himself. If properly cultivated, it could restore the M letter 1EA1N Thiern Hoa Vu that has been reduced to fragments for centuries. If that happens, all martial experts will have to bow to the name of the Tang clan. The future of the Tang clan lies in my hands. Tang Wu repeated, I'll ask again. Do you want to take the Tang surname? Bongsu nodded slightly, his expression resolute. He praised that resolve, good, but you are not yet truly a disciple of the Tang clan. You must go to Tang clan and prove before the elders and the family head that you deserve the Tang surname. You may even lose your life in the process. Do you still want to do it despite that? Bongsu fell silent and did not object. Tang Wu smiled faintly in satisfaction. He, full of inner strength, stepped forward. From now on, I will perform the marrow-cleansing great art on you. Standing behind Bongsu, Tang Wu called, Hwa, guard for me. Hwa obeyed and moved toward the door. Meanwhile, he began to act. Tang Wu's hand condensed his inner power. The needles hovered behind him. He held a needle in his hand. Let's begin. The needle tip aimed at the top of Bongsu's head. He slowly drove it down. It pierced straight through the crown of his head. Bongsu's face darkened. He recalled their earlier conversations silently. They probably thought using secret voice transmission would keep me from hearing. The mouth sealing technique. Unexpectedly, the skill I learned earlier for hunting proved useful in this situation. A body of no meridians. Could such a thing exist in my body? Earlier, the system displayed congratulations. You have acquired new skills, lightness skill, and the 3-talent sword technique. A system status panel only I could see. Surely it meant this is why I obtained a strange constitution, not that of an ordinary person or a common character. Tang Wu could never know this, so he thought it was a body without meridians. What a ridiculous notion. If so, I'll just play along with his idea. When Tang Wu drove in the last needle, Bongsu's body was pierced all over like a porcupine. He thought to himself, indeed a unique constitution in the world. Although the meridians were only temporarily formed, the flow of qi was not blocked at all. In fact, the qi circulated many times faster than that of a normal martial artist. Truly an extraordinary prodigy. He retrieved the container, but inside it contained something extremely poisonous. A centipede. Tang Wu released it, so he had to be even more cautious. The centipede crawled onto the needle. I can't let such a precious thing fall into someone else's hands. I'll inoculate it with a lethal toxin in case the worst happens. He guided the needle so the centipede crawled into Bong Su's ear. The great art was complete. He told himself, if I cannot have it, I'll destroy it so none may possess it. A veil of qi radiated from him all around. Tang Wu pulled the needles out of his shoulders, then a few from the top of his head. Next were the needles in his biceps, until the sun began to rise. When dawn broke in, light streamed through the window into the room. Tang Wu had waited the entire night. He declared, the great art is complete. From this moment on, you are no longer the Danri clan's horseboy. You are a disciple of the foremost family in Sichuan, the Tang clan. Your name will be fitting, Tang Sam. You will be called Tang Sam. Bong Su pressed his lips and lowered his head. Then he smiled and said yes. Tang Hwa outside had waited so long she dozed off. Bong Su slowly opened the door. His figure became taller and more robust than before. He brushed past her. Bong Su stepped out of that small courtyard, his shoulders noticeably steadier. Bong Su looked at the light swelling in his palm. The centipede appeared. He crushed the centipede at once. Bong Su celebrated this turning point. The mute So Sam of the Danri clan now no longer existed. Now I am Tang Sam of the Sichuan Tang clan. From now on this will be my new set of wings. Night fell at a mansion built on the mid-slope of the mountain, and from one room came sounds thick with implication. Moonlight from outside shone into the room. On the large bed 2 people were moving together at night. Under the hazy moon, her jade-like body arched like a perfect bow. Paga Hyul in a seductive tone, don't keep me waiting, hurry up. The man obliged the beauty and thrust inward. She winced and made a soft, approving sound, both of them panting with pleasure. In her daze, she squinted and looked over the man's shoulder. A shadowy figure had appeared. As the silhouette became clearer, a sharp gleam flashed from that person's sword in the night. She screamed in terror. When Paga Hyul turned his head to look, he nimbly leapt off the bed, letting the woman take the fatal blow. Paga Hyul slid back to keep a safe distance. Facing the approaching person, he let out a startled sound, his brows knitting in disgust. This won't do. My Western Plains silk robe is stained with blood now. This outfit was expensive, you know. But wait, who on earth are you? Mad Cloud stood opposite, his eyes cold and piercing. He began to execute a peerless sword technique, condensing a ferocious stream of internal energy. Seeing that, Paga Hyul prepared himself extremely carefully. He used deep internal power to draw the sword back into his hand, and in time blocked a lethal thrust from his opponent. To stop Paga Hyul, Mad Cloud forced himself to maintain the formation. While the man sneered indifferently, what is this? Internal power from Paga Hyul erupted violently, sticky and viscous, really. He raised his hand and with brutal force drew another sword. A strike-carrying shockwave sliced through the air. Mad Cloud immediately stepped back, narrowly evading. Paga Hyul pursued closely like a shadow. Where could he possibly run? Countless blades of sword light slashed toward him in rapid succession. Mad Cloud's hand suddenly condensed a mass of black, sinister chi. Paga Hyul stared in astonishment. Could that possibly be? The bizarre black chi halted every brilliant blade of sword light. The sword slashes he sent out were all shattered to pieces. The black chi like furious gales tore those blades mercilessly apart. They exploded into tiny fragments suspended in the void. Mad Cloud expanded his technique, broadening the reach of the black chi. Paga Hyul realized it was the ink light killing sword. Damn. Right, 10 years, Mad Cloud. He corrected himself to 9 years and 190 days. Paga Hyul burst out laughing at that. He leaned back into the chair. Sure enough, it's Mad Cloud. You even remember those little trifles. So what mission brings the 18 Clouds Lord here in person? Mad Cloud replied. An order was issued down. Paga Hyul was curious. What's the content? The 3 words, first strategy, made his face go dark. Paga Hyul's fingers tapped the table in a rhythm. He was eager, finally some action. Good, and what about Ash Shadow? Mad Cloud revealed, the Namgong family. This month's full moon day is Ash Shadow's wedding. Paga Hyul was surprised to hear that. A wedding. He paused, thinking it over. Paga Hyul blurted out, could it be Ash Shadow? So what's the scope of the operation? Mad Cloud closed his eyes, not yet speaking. His blood-stained finger tapped increasingly fast. They stopped when he said, except for Ash Shadow and Namgong Hai, kill them all. His index finger dragged a line across the table. Paga Hyul sat motionless like a statue. Without thinking, he concluded, the soul-hunting assassins are heading to Anhal. With the forces here, they can't cope. Mad Cloud revealed that 5 shadow assassins would be dispatched there. His tapping index suddenly stopped. Pagahyul asked casually, "Is that so? That should be more than enough." Mad Cloud turned his back and left. The order had been delivered. Someone behind him exclaimed, "But what's Ash Shadow's given name again?" Mad Cloud transformed into a wisp of black chi and vanished. He sighed in boredom. "You've always been as odious as ever. I'm so jealous, really, truly jealous. I thought Shadow disciples had to live alone forever. Who knew Ash Shadow would become a righteous hero and even take Anhal's top beauty as his wife? While here I rot away in this dark corner." Pagahyul stepped out silently. He snapped his fingers once, and someone appeared immediately. Pagahyul raised his hand to signal and ordered, "Clean the room and get rid of that pile of filthy trash on the bed." The men behind bowed respectfully and obeyed. Pagahyul added, "And kill the gate guards from today for me." He stopped and gazed at the flourishing scene in the distance. This is the Anhal branch of the heavenly demon cult, and he is the branch chief, naked silver demon Pagahyul. Long he thought to himself, Ash Shadow. Now it truly begins. Pagahyul's usually sullen face suddenly broke into a smile. He stood there taking in the nighttime view before him, seeing Katsugi Dihyo's troop moving through the night. They had arrived. Tang Wu rode at the head and ordered them to halt. "We arrived faster than I expected." Bongsu thought to himself, "This is the place Namgang clan rules over. At the foot of the mountain lies the prosperous Anhal." The next day, at a courtyard mansion, it was crowded and lively, with a lion dance troupe and firecrackers in the center celebrating. The Anhal capital appeared magnificent, and at the gate a few beggars kept bowing repeatedly. They begged, "Please give us some rice, have mercy." The gatehouse guards were furious when they saw them. "Drive these damned beggars away, do you know where this is? Get out," they cried. The beggars pleaded, "Don't do that, it's only some leftovers." He lifted his foot as if to kick toward the beggar, "Move aside." When the beggar was shoved back, those nearby hurriedly called out, "Big brother." Someone stepped out from the mansion and asked, "What's all the commotion about?" The one who stepped out was Duhyo Okay. The guard reported, "Because of the young master, it's nothing, just a few beggars gathered here." He bent down and stared at him. Some citizens farther off whispered, "So this man is the guest of honor at Duhyo Okay's banquet? What a strikingly handsome appearance." He glanced at the beggar sitting below, then smiled and reached out, "Are you all right?" They gaped at that attitude, and one of them stepped forward to grasp Hyo Okay's hand. He ordered, "Share some food with these people. Surely there are leftovers since the wedding is still a few days away." The guard obediently responded, "Yes, young master." Two onlookers praised without stopping. The new star is young and talented indeed, both skilled in martial arts and noble in character. No wonder Namgang clan's heiress fell for him. A lone wanderer of the Jianghu, he even defeated the yin-yang twin demons in the end. Who would have guessed a young drifter could beat two demons who terrorized the Jianghu for decades and become Namgang clan's son-in-law? Rumor has it he mastered the Thunder Court Blade Emperor's art, the one who dominated the realm 300 years ago. And as they were speaking, he was bumped by someone. He shot a sidelong glare and snapped, "Can't you watch where you're going?" Seeing Tang Wu, "What the heck, soul-hunting assassins?" Tang Wu. His hand clamped the other's face. Then he flung the man backward. "Move aside, you're blocking my way." Tang Wu's procession strode forward with imposing presence. Inside, Duhyo Okay warmly received guests as the group reached the gate. He turned to look. Tang Wu took a deep breath and shouted, "Silence. Do you mean to say I've arrived somewhere that doesn't belong to me? If you have something to say, step forward and say it to my face instead of hiding like a scared little mouse." Duhyo Okay stepped forward to welcome him. "Please calm down. Senior Tang." "Greetings, I am Tang Hu, Angel Letter 1 ECDC. Tang Wu sized him up. "So you're the brat whose name dragged me all the way here. Impressive, truly impressive, but that's all there is to it. If you'd met me earlier it would have been better, but seeing you today is a tad disappointing." Duhyo Okay was flustered. "Forgive me, sir, what did you just say?" Tang Wu strode in. "Is Byok inside?" he reported. "The master awaits you, Senior Tang. I will escort you to the Imperial Hall." He walked in at ease and Duhyo Okay hurried after him. Bongsu stood dumbfounded at the rear. He saw a notice, "An enemy 10 levels higher than you has entered within 20 m." Bongsu glanced as the notice began to fade. Looking at Duhyo Okay before him, he mentally compared. There was a very small difference between him and Tang Wu. Not to mention he moved continuously without pausing, meaning he's a high-level foe. His eyes narrowed to observe. Bongsu glanced him over. Everyone has some asymmetry in face, limb proportions, shoulder width, and so on. But this one was too perfectly perfect, and Bongsu made an intriguing discovery. A thrill rose in the depths of his eyes. He realized this man was of his kind, hiding his true form in a completely different guise. He was also a predator. On the rooftop, the compound's roof was bristling with swords. This imposing compound was the Namgang clan's Imperial Hall. The swords on the roof were weathered and old. Tang Wu looked up at the blades of past clan heads. Tusk, crowning yourself king and sneering at the world, huh? Dead or not, you'll all be buried under the same dirt. From behind, Do Hyo-ok said, please wait here a moment, I'll go inside. And he was cut off, shooed away. As Tang Wu strode step by step up the stairs, Tang Wu called out, didn't you say he was waiting for me? He pushed open the main hall door. Master Go Sangong of the Namgong clan, who was speaking with his granddaughter, turned to look and seeing him, greeted Uncle Tang. His steps hurried as he rushed forward. Go Sangong stopped before Tang Wu, clasped his hands in salute, and welcomed Uncle Tang's arrival. It's been a long time since we last met. He judged that a host who had to rush out to receive a guest like this was rather pathetic. Yet that attitude pleased Tang Wu greatly. He began, anyway, it's a pleasure to see this little rotten brat of yours after so long. Go Sangong added, you haven't changed a bit. Tang Hwa's eyes showed surprise. She thought to herself, is Grandpa really that close to the Namgong household? Tang Hwa turned her attention to the other person in the hall. Namgong Hai warmly greeted, long time no see, Hwi sister. She complimented, hi sister, I think you get more beautiful every day. She asked, thank you, Hwi sister, have you been well lately? Do Hyo-ok cleared his throat to get attention. He introduced himself, I was a bit flustered earlier and didn't introduce myself properly. I am Do Hyo-ok, she replied. I'm Tang Hwa, should I call you Tang Sam? Namgong Hai flushed, I haven't not yet. He laughed, Tang Sam, I rather like that form of address. Tang Hwa teased, I never thought someone as bashful as Hai sister would get married before me. She helplessly suppressed a yawn. Honestly, that girl. Namgong Hai's gaze fixed on someone. She curiously asked, Hwa, who is this fellow? They all focused their looks on Bong Su, who had been practically invisible until now. Tang Hwa didn't quite know what to say. Ah, he is. You introduce him, I am Tang Sam. Namgong Hai widened her eyes at Bong Su, while Do Hyo-ok's expression darkened. He changed his face to a genial smile and extended his hand. Brother Tang Sam, pleased to meet you. Bong Su glanced at that hand. His expression shifted in response. Bong Su smiled brightly and reached out to shake hands. Do Hyo-ok suddenly remembered. Right, tonight I plan to take Hai sister out to Soho. Or perhaps we should all go together. Do Hyo-ok smiled with a scheming glint. Of course, including you too, Tang Sam said. Soho was now glittering, with lanterns drifting on the still surface of the lake. The four of them stood on the shore taking in the view. Tang Hwa was excited at the sight. It's so beautiful. Do Hyo-ok explained that the lake is famed for its stunning scenery, and the nighttime view is especially exceptional. Namgong Hai gazed without turning away. The moon's reflection on the lake was truly lovely. Do Hyo-ok suggested to Bong Su while the girls chatted, the men should drink a bit, right? I'll fetch a few jars of good wine. With that, he went toward the room to get the liquor. Bong Su mentally assessed Do Hyo-ok. Outwardly, he was about to become the Namgong clan's son-in-law, but he clearly was a predatory beast in disguise. Someone of that caliber was surely plotting something very big. But since when and why? It felt as if he just stepped into a vast secret conspiracy. The system kept repeating the old warning. He glanced in surprise toward where Do Hyo-ok had disappeared. The distance from Bong Su to that spot was not just under 20 m, which astonished him greatly. Isn't that Do Hyo-ok after all? This boat is less than 25 m long and about 5 m high, so the enemy must be in the lower hold of this boat. Do Hyo-ok stepped out holding wine. Sorry for the rudeness, the wine was a bit hard to find, so I'm a little late. Bong Su switched to alert mode. Another enemy, not Do Hyo-ok, this one just appeared. He enthusiastically presented it. This is Jumaju, a bit heavy but rare, brought out specially for you. Tang Sam. Bong Su opposite him looked solemn. When Do Hyo-ok came closer, he smiled and asked, I'm feeling a bit unwell, may I take a walk? The man agreed, of course, ask the old boatman and he'll show you the way. After saying that, Do Hyo-ok narrowed his eyes and glanced at him. Bong Su stepped down onto the lower deck. Footsteps echoed. A display showed the countdown from 20 m to 11 m. He was surprised. The distance to the new enemy should have increased, but it had started decreasing instead. When the display counted down to 3 m, something was lurking right behind Bong Su. He looked ahead and saw two men. The display kept counting down to 1, and elsewhere it was counting down to 1 as well. A shadow emerged under the bright moonlight. Bong Su glanced outside. Counting Do Hyo-ok, there were 5 enemies. 5 foes at least 10 levels above him were on the boat. He didn't linger and stepped outside. His hand touched the hull. Bong Su looked toward the two women. If their goal was to kidnap Namgong Hai, they would have struck long ago. Their remaining stillness meant that. His gaze turned to the Namgong residence, his hand clenched. Very likely their true target was the Namgong clan. They were at least 10 levels above me. It couldn't be determined yet whether they were 20 or 30 levels higher. But if these four broke into the Namgong clan, the Namgong clan would collapse. I'm truly caught between a rock and a hard place. Tang Wu is beside me, and the Namgong clan's enemies are in front of me. Bongsu lowered his head thinking. Suddenly he looked up and smiled. I'm really boxed in. We're almost ashore. I have to act. A few boats were approaching on the water. The sound of hurried footsteps grew loud. These people stopped at the door and entered. A subordinate asked worriedly, Chief Penda Go Sangong, do we really have to do this? Checking everything until we arrive, isn't that overboard? The man angrily barked, you bastard. How dare you disobey my orders? Is following my orders and checking everything so hard? The man denied it, saying it was just a slight waste of time. He scolded, have you lost your mind? The wedding's coming up, so checking 2 or 3 times isn't too much. Seeing the men still hesitating below, he drove them forward. Damn it, just do it. 2 subordinates lit candles. When they still hesitated and moved in slowly, he grew irritated. Damn it, what a nuisance. A real man should be beheading enemies while singing. What the hell am I doing? I thought some enemies showing up would make things less boring. The 2 men had already entered the hold. The surroundings pitch black except for the faint glow from the candle in hand. One of them snapped, damn, why are they getting wine while we have to do these 3 stupid tasks? What do you think? Where did that newbie Bongsu come from? He blew and snuffed at the candle. Darkness swallowed the room. They shouted, what the hell is this? Enemies' blood spurting. The other watched his comrade get slashed down by him. Droplets splashed up from the floor into the blackness. That man panicked and ran in every direction. Footsteps stamped on the water, pooled on the floor with audible splashes, as a sword came slashing from Bongsu, until the blade sank into the deck. Everything fell back into darkness. The air reeked sharply of fresh blood. Outside, the senior waited so long he began to yawn. He thought to himself, they're taking too long. Are they being lazy? His hand grabbed the torch beside him. Then he moved inside. Just wait until I find you lot. The man's steps stopped. Sensing something amiss, he bent to look. Floating on the water was a hand. What the hell is this? It was an arm. He panicked, ran toward the door and shouted, new recruit. The distance to the door was still quite far. He ran at top speed, when someone suddenly stepped out to block his way. His face went pale. Bongsu was searching. Where was the rest of his arm? There were corpses there, bodies cleaved in 2. Not a single body remained intact. One torso had its face plunged into the water. The man froze at the sight. What? Bongsu had found them. He turned to face the opponent. The remaining arm was coming right here. The door before him was pitch black. The water under the deck rippled with a cold sound. Bongsu lunged at the opponent like a ghost, his eyes blazing with extreme vigilance. He regarded the foe like prey in a bloodthirsty trance. Their swords collided fiercely. Combat intent surged outward, shaking the space. Bongsu glanced at the Sangong fighting him, thinking to himself that this guy was much stronger than he'd imagined. A blade of light flared, cutting hard forward. He quickly fell back, dodging the tip. He snarled, you're definitely the one who came with the soul-hunting solo knife, aren't you? Bongsu's expression remained cold and unchanged. Sangong demanded harshly, clearly aghast, why commit such heartless deeds? Bongsu's body gradually melted into the deep shadow. He replied curtly that it was all for the great cause of the Namgong clan. Sangong erupted in furious denial. You insolent, tearing my fighter to pieces and impaling him on a stake, and you dare claim it's for the Namgong clan. Don't expect to die comfortably, he shouted, unleashing the first form of the Tianfeng sword technique. Bongsu immediately countered with his active skill move, third talent sword technique, second form. Sangong's eyes flashed, a bone-chilling coldness as he used the Tati Feng Luvan technique. In direct opposition, Bongsu's power radiated a blazing red aura. The 2 opposing chi forces collided, producing a terrifying aftershock. Outside, the lake churned violently as if struck by a great storm, the waves rising up fierce and heaving. Inside, both men were driven backward, the water beneath their feet surging with each step. Sangong's blade flashed a chillingly sharp light. He unleashed countless sword intents like wild wind blades, screaming forward, I'll tear you to shreds into pieces. A blue light cast over Bongsu's face. Keen sword intent sliced through his flesh. Bongsu was violently pushed backward. He glanced at the blood bar on the screen, thinking about his HP. Sangong seized the chance to lunge in. It's over. Bongsu spat out fragments of corpses from within the void to intercept the blade. He smirked. The sword was gone. What can you do now? A beam of light shot out, reflecting astonishment across Sangong's face. Fresh blood gushed out. A sharp sword intent sliced across his body. Sangong staggered backward. Everything happened so fast he was stunned. What? The sword was clearly out of my hand. Where on earth did it come from? Sangong touched the gash on his cheek that was bleeding. Had it been a moment later, his face would have been split in 2. What kind of sorcery is this? Bongsu remained hidden in the shadows. He kicked through the water and surged forward, having anticipated this. His left hand executed a sweeping beheading strike. The blade aimed toward the opponent's sword, then suddenly vanished. Sangong's slash missed, his whole body pitching downwards. He recalled his sword and it disappeared. Sensing danger from behind, Sangong spun around. Bongsu pivoted and drove a kick straight into the opponent's face. The man was sent flying out. Bongsu immediately activated lightness skill and gave chase. As the sharp sword tip aimed at him, Sangong tensed. Damn, I'm really going to die. The tip nicked the bridge of his nose. Suddenly Bongsu dropped down, and at the same moment he also landed. Sangong was stunned. Could he have reached his limit? Really? So that slash actually worked? He felt the opportunity and burst into laughter. You brat, have I been worrying for nothing then? Bongsu pressed a hand to his chest, breathing heavily. He gritted his teeth and endured. The accumulated damage was too much. HP was about to. The notification popped up on the screen. He noticed the level 12 bar was nearly full. Planning in his mind, the experience points were almost complete. So, Bongsu was overjoyed. He had a plan. He sketched out a rough strategy and charged toward his opponent. Sangong across from him assumed a ready stance and arrogantly said, "Are you tired of living so you act like a reckless hero?" Bongsu raised his sword, a powerful aura radiating from him. Tianfeng's sword technique, ultimate middle form. The Tianfeng opening heaven lit up the area. Sangong charged. Do you want to die with me? Not a chance, I'll let you have your wish. A strong aura burst from Bongsu. A blue light glinted, his gaze full of resolve. Power surged from both of Bongsu's arms. Sangong leapt in, lifting his leg. He stomped hard onto Bongsu's gut. Sangong sneered, "You fool, you don't know your limits and dare challenge me. You've been lucky so far, but this is the end of the line." But at that moment, horror flashed across Sangong's eyes. Because Bongsu was smiling, a gruesome smile. Bongsu's mouth opened wide, blue light flashing within it. Sangong froze. As that light erupted, Sangong's body was struck. Fresh blood gushed from Sangong and spilled onto the floor. He was drenched in blood. The sword was lodged straight into the center of his forehead. Sangong's body toppled backward. A notification appeared on the screen. Level up. His health bar also began to recover. Bongsu lay back, exhilarated. A pillar of energy burst from him. It spread across a small surrounding area. From afar, one could see a brilliant column of light shooting up into the sky. The Tang family elders inside gaped in shock as they looked on. Du Hyo Ok and Namgong Hai, who were together, stared in disbelief. At some branch hall, Pagahyul also saw it. He had to exclaim, "What on earth is that again?" So Bongsu now had a hand to stake up. Those corpses were impaled on stakes against the wall. He admired his handiwork, now complete. At the Danri clan compound, flames roared and engulfed the mansion. A group of masked assassins was sweeping through the place, their momentum utterly overwhelming. The head of the Danri clan, Chen Wu, stood there in despair. Behind him, the Danri clan had been slaughtered. Someone stepped out from the sea of blazing fire. The attacker stopped and bent to look at Chen Wu. He cried out, Who dares cause chaos in my Danri clan?" A sword sliced across Chen Wu's neck. His head fell to the ground. Blood pooled and splattered across the courtyard, and a new figure appeared behind the attacker. He turned and ordered a message sent to Ash Shadow. "The Danri clan has been wiped out. The grand plan can begin." At Pagahyul's side, the man was grabbing a woman by the hair. He let the woman go. Pagahyul sneered, "Judging by that outfit, she's from the Danri clan. HMPH, that kills the mood." The one ordered it teleported here. He recognized them at once. "What is this? Is it already over? That brat Mad Cloud really has no taste." Pagahyul glanced toward the distant residence, but the Namgong clan. That brat who uses illusion wouldn't broadcast a signal so ostentatiously. Could it be the Namgong clan discovered the plan? Pagahyul ordered an immediate lockdown of the main routes leading to Anhul. Phase 1 activated, a team stood ready waiting for orders. Execute. The Namgong clan agents who went down to the basement room were shocked at the scene. On the wall, a line of dark red characters had been written in blood. It read, "The emperor falls, the next line shall become king. On the full moon, the sovereign will lose his way. The slow-footed one like me will become the new king." A servant asked clan head, "Who on earth caused this?" Kung's son couldn't figure it out. "I don't know either, but one thing's certain. Someone has targeted the Namgong clan. The wedding is approaching. Increase guards and don't let your vigilance drop. If you see anyone suspicious, report directly to me." The servant memorized the order. "Yes, clan head." Then he quietly left. And as he walked, he thought, "Emperor, this is definitely about the Namgong clan. Full moon must mean the wedding held on the full moon day. So who is this shall become king, slow-footed person?" Kung's son wondered to himself, who could it possibly be? The next day, at the Namgong clan residence, Gi Dihyo, upon hearing the news, angrily slammed the table. Go Sangong shouted, "What on earth is happening with the Namgong household? I've been saying this all along. It's clearly deliberate sabotage. Du Hyo Ok only joined our clan a year ago. Just based on a few flattering words or those lines, are you going to suspect the man about to become the clan's son-in-law? If this gets out, the martial world will mock the Namgong clan. The study fell silent. Namgong-in spoke up, "Forgive me for holding an opinion contrary to the chief of the Sword Hall. We should focus on the 8 characters the intruder left behind. Anyone who looks at it can see those 2 excess characters are pointing to Do Hyo okay." Namgong-yung was stunned. What? Namgong-in continued to speculate. This intruder infiltrated our Namgong clan and slaughtered martial artists, and then carved words that plainly expressed their intent like this. That means the intruder's purpose wasn't sneaking into the Namgong clan just to kill or scout. You all saw that powerful beam of light last night, right? It was a signal so loud it seemed to announce itself to the world, then it vanished like a ghost. You won't accept that, so are you going to arrest Do Hyo okay based on slander from an unknown intruder? Doing so would disgrace our clan. But what if it's not slander? Where would Namgong Hai's face go then? Kung Sun cut off their argument. Everyone shut up for me. Both of you make valid points. As the chief of the Hong Sword Hall said, the intruder's movements are indeed suspicious. And as the chief of the Wuai Sword Hall said, even the smallest possibility cannot be ignored. That is the right principle. So aren't Lord Chen Wu of the Thunder Division and Lord Tian Feng of the Wind Division out investigating right now? Namgong-yung knew he was right and fell silent. He explained that the wise clan head, Lord Chen Wu, had already led his men to reconnoiter. If there truly is someone or some force pulling strings and plotting against the Namgong clan on the full moon day, they should have left traces for us to find by now. Just as the study sank into thought, someone burst in outside out of breath. The messenger reported, "Clan head, urgent news. The person at the main gate is Lord Chen Wu, Namgong Hu." Kung Sun hurriedly asked, "What's the situation?" He crouched on one knee to report. Of the Thunder Division team sent to investigate, none returned alive to the clan. Not a single one came back alive. Namgong-yung, what? You say not a single one returned? They were supposed to be back within the time of an incense stick. No one returned. Kung Sun then probed, "Think about it, who did this?" Namgong Hu already had an answer in his mind. He bowed his head and delivered the grim news. The Namgong clan seemed to be besieged. The news made Namgong-yung gape in shock. Namgong-in's face fell. While Kung Sun stood dazed, Namgong-yung demanded, who did this in the end? A name had already formed in Kung Sun's mind. The 18 water channels of the Yangtze River. No, their accord with us predates this, and they're a water force that can't come ashore. Namgong Hu meant the attack came inland toward us, so we've been surrounded. Namgong-yung still couldn't believe it. Is there any force in Anhul capable of besieging the Namgong clan? Could there really be an organization in the world with that kind of power? Absurd, utterly absurd. Namgong-in stood up to deny it. There's nowhere in the martial world, there's only one place with the capacity to surround the Namgong clan. That place is the Tianma city. Outside, Bong-su was muttering the line, "Who walks slowly shall become king. On the full moon, the sovereign will lose his way, and the slow-footed one like me will become the new king." The next day, a new day began. He stood motionless as a stream of light condensed in his palm. A small blue spark also shimmered on the crown of his head. Thin threads of light appeared along Bong-su's arms. Gathering at his dantian, Bong-su's feet hovered above the ground, his speed unbelievably fast, his feet seeming to glide through the air. Bong-su unleashed a palm strike at the one who had been attacking him from behind. The assailant kept pressing the attack, closing in. Bong-su drew his sword. He calmly analyzed the situation and spotted the opening when the opponent drew their blade. Now Bong-su planted his foot to spring off the ground. Then his whole body flipped backward. Bong-su breathed a silent sigh of relief. That was a close call. If Go Sangong had unleashed the moves of the Tianfeng sword technique at the right moment, I would have been defeated for sure. Martial arts, in a way, are more overpowered than any skill in a game. Streams of power converged. Bong-su told himself that to grow stronger he must comprehend them. His body felt encased in a sphere of light. A blinding sword intent sliced toward the opponent. The man's body was blasted backward, and before he could make sense of it, countless sharp sword lights shot forth from Bong-su. A shockwave erupted where he lay. Water sprayed everywhere, the opponent's head crashed to the ground, and his limbs were severed. Power flowed through Bong-su's body from the crown down in streaks. He exhaled, "At last I won." The effects of Senior Tang's great acupoint opening technique were incredible. Just from that fight, I gained so much insight. Even if these meridians are temporary, the experience has been etched into my body. So with enough practice, I'll be able to truly perform martial arts. He glanced at the notification. "Congratulations, you've reached level 13 and can accept your first job change quest." First job change quest, Wanderer. A profession reserved for testers. Completion condition, defeat 100 enemies of level 10 or above. Bong-su looked at the quest with interest. Job change, huh? Do I have to slay 100 enemies of level 10 or higher? The levels are about the same as the bunch we dealt with yesterday. The last one was probably around level 15 or 16. I thought I'd gotten stronger, but this doesn't look like it'll be easy at all. Right behind him, an explosion erupted. 10 minutes earlier, Do-hyo-ok received news and hurried off to that place. On the boat's deck, the tiles had been shattered into strips by the water. Do-hyo-ok stared off into the distance. He went down to inspect, thinking to himself that things were getting worse. After that beam of light appeared, defenses tightened and the number of fighters increased. I need to notify the covert guards. Namgongin saw him and called out, "Look, it's the young master. Where are you rushing off to?" Do-hyo-ok thought in surprise. The chief of the Wui Sword Hall, why is he here at this hour? The corner of his mouth curved into the standard smile. Do-hyo-ok clasped his hands in greeting. I heard there's a congratulatory light for the wedding here, so I stopped by on my way back to check it out. He frowned. Oh, did you find anything? Is that really an auspicious sign? Do-hyo-ok's face darkened as he glanced ahead, where a group of people were on guard, their hands poised to draw swords. His face turned as black as ink. Namgongin ordered, "You have nothing to say since you found nothing. You will come with us to the Emperor's Hall. I will not accept any refusal." That attitude only made him angrier. Do-hyo-ok suddenly blurted, "I actually quite like this disguise." He flashed a dazzling grin. Found out already. Seeing the situation turn sour, Namgongin drew his sword at Do-hyo-ok. An explosion from the side drew their attention. He panicked the Emperor's Hall. At that moment, a great force was surging from behind. Seeing Do-hyo-ok preparing to attack, Namgongin muttered, "Damn it." He unleashed the Thunder Wrath Blade finale. Lightning blazed, shooting out so bright it hurt the eyes. That power was the first technique, Thunder Strike. Lightning crackled around Do-hyo-ok as his coat fluttered in the wind. People outside gradually took notice of the situation here. Some couldn't believe their eyes. What the? Isn't that the young master? Why is he? Namgongin's face was covered in wounds. He sank down with a thud. The tiled floor beneath him cracked and broke. Namgongin couldn't believe it. Even as a surprise attack, could one strike really fell the chief of the Wui Sword Hall? Sensing imminent danger, he looked up to see Do-hyo-ok advancing, his whole body exuding an overwhelming aura. And in the distance, someone who noticed the scene there let out a startled shout. The person ran over in fear and yelled, "Stop. Young master, what the hell do you think you're doing? You must stop at once." Do-hyo-ok raised his sword and swung at the man. The massacre left Namgongin, the onlookers, and the newly arrived onlookers stunned. The crowd panicked and ran. "Run, the young master has gone mad. Everyone run." Do-hyo-ok grinned smugly, red veins standing out on his face. Namgongin, bewildered, asked Do-hyo-ok, "No, who exactly are you?" He unleashed crackling lightning. "I won't tell you." Bolts of lightning shot toward Namgongin. He sat frozen there like a lightning rod. Namgongin's body stiffened, unable to move. His face contorted in pain as the lightning struck. His eyes widened when he saw the sword stop right before him. Tangwoo barked, "Brat, what do you think you're playing at?" He planted his foot on the sword Do-hyo-ok had thrust toward him. Do-hyo-ok looked up at the man blocking his path. Bong-su stood in a corner thinking, Tangwoo. So he really did step in. Of course, Do-hyo-ok was no match for him, and soon his face showed clear signs of being overwhelmed. The two forces collided and exploded in midair. Tangwoo descended to the ground. Namgongin bowed his head and said, "Thanks to soul hunting solo night." He sighed, "The state of the Jianghu is really cruel these days. Who would have thought a son-in-law would stab his wife's family in the back like that?" Do-hyo-ok shrugged and smirked indifferently. He replied, "Isn't everyone in the Jianghu like that?" An explosion erupted in the main hall in the distance. Tangwoo couldn't accept it. Poisonous chi hovered around his hand. "I'm not the type to trade words for blows. If you're smart, reveal your identity and explain what's going on while I'm still being polite." Do-hyo-ok showed no fear. "So this is the legendary internal skill secret I've heard of. I'd love to duel you right now, but..." Bong-su immediately noticed that the man was trying to flee. It was already strange that he was here alone, and it seemed he'd been searching for something this whole time. At that moment, Tang Hwa stepped forward to see why her father was over there. Bong-su's mind started calculating. Is he looking for Tang Hwa? A scheming smile appeared. "If so, Do-hyo-ok has discovered and found you. He's attacking from opposite you. Damn it, did you really have to push it this far?" He gathered lightning to prepare, and Bong-su quickly lunged toward her. At the same time, Tangwoo unleashed countless poison needles. Bolts of sword light surged out in a torrent. He wondered in surprise why Do-hyo-ok would throw his sword mid-fight. Tang Hwa became Do-hyo-ok's target. Only then did Tangwoo realize Do-hyo-ok's scheme, his face turning pale with alarm. And she just stood there frozen, her brain as if it had stalled. Fortunately, Bong-su appeared in time and shoved her backward. A violent explosion erupted, dazzling to the eyes. Thick black smoke billowed out, leaving the place ruined. The patched courtyard had become a vast pit. Tangwoo rushed over in panic. Tang Hwa. He stared at the scene in surprise, only to see Bong-su holding her in his arms. Tangwoo softly called, "Tang Sam. Did you save Tang Hwa?" He handed his granddaughter back to him. Tangwoo embraced her. and was deeply moved. Thank you. Du Hyo on a distant rooftop laughed, and seeing him, Tang Wu grew irritated. His face was dark as a demon's. Bong-su had to admit he was very strong. Enough to match Tang Wu, he truly was a master. Du Hyo called out, well then Tang Hero. I'll be visiting you soon. Tang Wu pressed his lips and frowned at his opponent. He turned and began to leave. A wave of pressure forced Du Hyo to halt. The veins on his face standing out, he froze and looked down. What the heck just now? Du Hyo noticed Bong-su, who smiled, a pervert no less than him. Du Hyo glanced at the man exuding that kindred aura. He chuckled with interest. Was that you? The one behind the radiant pillar last night who ruined my plan. It was all you, wasn't it? We'll definitely meet again, you know. With that, Du Hyo bolted away. Tang Wu went mad with rage. Damn it, did you think I'd let you escape? Tang Hwa woke up and weakly said, Grandpa, my poor granddaughter is still hurt. You can't leave her behind. Tang Wu stood there cursing, damn it. We've fallen into a trap. At sunset that same day, the Emperor's Hall was reduced to ruins. Go Sanggong sat on a chair and let out a helpless laugh. He felt relieved. He hadn't expected that just 4 people could bring the Emperor's Hall to this state. Besides, wasn't that one of the yin-yang twins Du Hyo had killed? All of Du Hyo's actions, even his marriage to Namgong Hai, had been planned in advance. All the carrier pigeons sent to the Muram Alliance were intercepted and destroyed. And now that Namgong clan's great defense of the 3 sons and 9 kings has been shattered, we are like rats trapped in a cage. Namgong hobbled forward with his cane and said, Master, forgive my presumptuous words. Right now we have 3 choices. Fight to the death, flee, or send someone to request aid. Go Sanggong decided firmly, ignoring the first 2 options. He knew better than anyone those were impossible. Namgong replied, very well. Send someone to request aid, meaning find a way to report our situation to the Muram Alliance and wait for reinforcements. As for distance from here to the Muram Alliance, if one uses full lightness skill, it won't take more than a week. Go Sanggong worried, it's not that I haven't considered that, but who can break their encirclement and reach the Muram Alliance safely? Namgong had an immediate answer. There is one person, an unparalleled master whose lightness skill is supernatural, capable of breaching the enemy ring. Mention that and everyone knows it's Tang Wu. Go Sanggong still didn't trust it much. Elder Tang, even for him, single-handedly breaking through a mass of enemies would be too much. Namgong pressed his lips and was silent for a moment. He leaned his cane closer to the master of the house. That's why we'll use them. Those who are currently inside our clan are desperately trying to escape the hundreds of guests who came for that wedding. In the quiet of night, the bright moon shone down. In the room, Go Sanggong was curious to see Bong-su's presence. That child was. Tang Wu revealed he was granted the Tang clan surname, a person who can be trusted, so don't worry and just speak. He hung his head low, hands clasped together. Go Sanggong pleaded, Elder Tang, please lead the guests downriver to Soho to request reinforcements. Tang Wu knew well that if they did that, most would die. Their martial skill is formidable, master. He ground his teeth, still stung by the day's events. In the end, Tang Wu agreed. All right, you certainly know this better than I do. Go Sanggong added, if we take boats from Soho to the Yangtze, we can get help from the Yangtze River. They've assigned all vessels to lower water. The quickest guests and servants of the family have been gathered at the South Water Gate. Tang Wu wanted more precise information. When can we depart? He reported, you can leave today. He knew this trip would be perilous and lucky was unlikely. Tang Wu stood up, I will prepare. Go Sanggong added, Elder Tang, when you leave, please take Hwa as well. I don't want the girl to witness me fighting that man. Tang Wu halted at those words. He suddenly asked, is that the only reason? Tears welled at Go Sanggong's eyes. I'm afraid that I and the Namgong clan won't last another 10 days. I'm truly very afraid. That despair made Tang Wu angry. He barked, this madman. Did you think I'd let that happen? Soul-hunting solo knife Tang Wu, do you think I'd stand idly by? We must hold on, even if we die, we must endure. I will certainly lead the relief forces back. Go Sanggong lowered his head, extremely despairing. As he went outside, Bong-su thought to himself, rescuing Tang Hwa really wasn't in vain. Unexpectedly, he even heard Namgong clan's plan directly. However, the plan had too many uncertainties. He heard a sound behind him and turned to look. Tang Hwa was tidying her hair. Grandpa, what on earth are you planning to do? When she saw Bong-su, her cheeks flushed unexpectedly. Tang Hwa felt embarrassed and didn't know how to begin that matter. Should she step closer and silently watch the moon with him? The two of them stood there, and neither had started a conversation. Tang Hwa thought to herself how awkward it was. From the start, she had no idea what this guy was thinking. She stole a glance at Bong-su, but her cheeks flared hot and turned bright red. At last, Tang Hwa managed a hesitant sentence. thank you for saving me. Don't get the wrong idea, it's just that if not now, there might never be another chance to say it. Upon hearing this, Bong-su looked deeply contemplative. Paga Hyol at this moment also stared at the moon, gazing toward the Namgang clan across the vast water. And someone was approaching from behind. He spoke up, alright, Ash Shadow. No, perhaps I should call him Duhyo, okay, huh? Let's see what excuses you still have. Duhyo, okay, replied. Ash Shadow, you say it as if I've already failed. Paga Hyol snapped back, isn't that the case? 4 bodyguards are dead and we gained nothing. More importantly, your presence here proves the first plan failed. Duhyo, okay, denied it. Tusk, you're wrong. The core of the first plan is that I must become a hero of the Orthodox sect. But even if I stand here now, it doesn't mean I can't still become that hero. A bizarre aura suddenly radiated from his body. Bulging veins rose on his shoulders and similarly around his waist. Duhyo okay transformed into a scorching Namgang Hai form. How about that? With this appearance, without needing the witness Namgang Hai, he'd naturally become the heir of the Namgang clan, right? Paga Hyol was shocked to realize the shape was Namgang Hai. He burst into laughter, madman, nice, very nice. Now things are different indeed. His smile, however, faded. Truly worthy of being Anhal's top beauty, so beautiful. Even knowing it's a man, my junior still perks up like this. Those words turned Duhyo okay to stone. An ugly vein reappeared on his face. Has this one finally gone mad? Paga Hyol's expression grew lecherous. Who cares if it's a woman or a man? If it looks good and tastes good, that's enough. They tested their strength against each other. Duhyo okay was helpless. This lecherous devil really was. Just then, as tension peaked, a bird flew in, with a letter tied to its leg. Duhyo okay clicked his tongue. News had arrived from the water messenger. When he read the single character inside, Paga Hyol exclaimed that indeed the boat had weighed anchor. What a pity, but I should set off leisurely. What about you? He replied, I'll tail that hawk. Paga Hyol probed, going after the water messenger. Why? The Namgang clan side will surely be far more interesting. Duhyo okay denied it. No, over there is even more interesting. Paga Hyol continued, is it Tang Wu? Even if he ranks among the 10 greats, how can one man compare to the weight of the entire Namgang clan? He fell silent mid-sentence, as if suddenly guessed something. Paga Hyol hurriedly asked, wait, could it be that lightning strike? Have you found out who it is? Who is it? Duhyo okay knows exactly how to needle him, not telling you tonight. Ash Shadow. Having said that, he vanished, leaving Paga Hyol calling after him. The illusionist, and the quiet space was left with only him. Elsewhere, a boat slowly pulled away. Not just one, but an entire flotilla. On the central ship was the boat carrying Tang Wu's group. The 3 of them came into the sights of a man hiding on the shore using a spyglass. After confirming their position, he put away the spyglass, then hurried off to report the situation. He boarded a large boat and told those waiting, the camp chief has confirmed it. He ordered the ships to weigh anchor and take a leisurely cruise together. The other side was the Yangtze 18 Waters camp, the water messenger of the flotilla. One by one, the boats began to depart. Bong-su was watching the Tang grandfather and grandson. He thought to himself, even if Tang Wu is an unrivaled master, those 2 are just dead weight to him right now, if forced to face a life or death moment. Between Tang Hwa, Namgang Hai, and Tang Sam, if one of the 3 must be left behind, it would certainly be me. I should mentally prepare in advance. Tang Wu sensed the silence. Too quiet. Along the way here, we haven't encountered a single enemy. He thought to himself that their force is strong enough to besiege the Namgang clan. Normally, enemies should appear here. Tang Wu ordered them to reduce the ship's speed to the lowest possible. As a precaution, the flotilla moved more slowly. Everyone on the boats finished their tasks. Then they suddenly stopped, pointing ahead at a star-like light. The distant image still blurred and unclear. When they could make out the emblem on the sails of that flotilla clearly, they rejoiced. Reinforcements have arrived. They must have received Namgang clan's alert. We're saved. Tang Wu was surprised. The Yangtze 18 Waters camp. Were they here to rescue us, just as Byok had said? He noticed something amiss. But why had so many boats come? It was as if they were blocking our path. Not encountering a single enemy was already suspicious, and now dozens of boats are obstructing us. Tang Wu went pale at one possible explanation. He shouted, those are not reinforcements. They're not reinforcements. We must turn the boat around immediately. I told you we had to withdraw from here at once. They're the enemy. Those bastards are the enemy. Turn the boat back right now. The water messenger up ahead looked toward their opposing boat. Her crew had their bows drawn and ready. The water messenger coldly ordered, open fire. This is no less than a death sentence for Tang Wu. He froze. Bong-su looked up to see. Arrows wrapped in fire shot out densely, lighting up a stretch of the night sky. They rained down on their boat like a storm. They shouted no. Under that dense rain of arrows, those on deck had no time to find cover. They were struck by flaming bolts, and the boat began to catch fire. Tang Wu erupted with inner energy like a shield to block the arrow storm aimed at him. The heat from the flames scorched Bong Su's face. Small boats were swallowed by fire and gradually sank beneath the waves. He shouted, "Everyone snap out of it, turn the boats around quickly." The flotilla was drawing closer. They were being surrounded in front and behind by a vastly superior number of ships. Tang Hwa asked anxiously, "Grandpa, what should we do? We're trapped between both front and rear." He pointed to the side. "Damn it, turn the other way, we'll head for the shore. Quickly get the survivors over there." When one boat slammed into another, the bow splintered to pieces. The water messenger leapt off her sturdy vessel. She slammed her mace down hard, fresh blood spattering. The heavy clubs thudded onto the deck. The water messenger commanded, "Kill them all." The massacre unfolded, screams of agony ringing out. Tang Wu watched the scene with stunned eyes. A surge of helplessness mixed with bitter rage rose within him. He strode over to Nam Gong Hai with a grim face. An arrow lodged near her neck. Nam Gong Hai fainted. Tang Hwa asked bewildered, "Grandpa, what are you doing?" Tang Wu had no time to explain. "We must get to shore." She was surprised. "What? Even if Grandpa leaves, carrying all three would be too much." He replied, "No, only two." Tang Hwa froze at that sentence. Two. Her gaze flicked toward Bong Su behind them. Tang Wu hoisted Nam Gong Hai onto his shoulder and called to him, "Tang Sam, I've been too greedy for your talent. That's why I implanted a poison in your neck, intending to manipulate you into becoming a stepping stone for the Tang clan." He hesitated at those words, "But it seems I truly am old. I didn't expect to grow fond of a toy. I will not kill you, but I will not save you either." Tang Hwa was terrified upon hearing this. And this was the moment she had to make a decision. Tang Wu stepped onto the railing. "Tang Sam of the Tang clan. The Tang clan may never know of your existence, but my soul-hunting poison hand will always remember you." With that, he slung her over his shoulder and dashed off. Tang Hwa kept her head bowed. As flames spread up the hull, Bong Su stood amid the roaring blaze behind them. He had expected this. "All right, nobody's watching anymore, shall I begin?" A man had crawled aboard, and Bong Su's hand emitted a blue glow. As a pocket of space was summoned just as the man prepared to stab, Bong Su turned, a sword slashed through, and the man's head separated from his body. He seized the remaining corpse, then dragged it away, softly humming a tune. Bong Su even brought the knife to his mouth. The flotilla neared the burning vessels. The enemy boarding parties were slaughtering many aboard. One ordered no survivors. Bong Su had found the area where most people were. A man, surprised to see him and mistaking him for an ally, called out, "Kid, you look wrecked, are you all right?" Bong Su's face, scratched and bloodied, replied, "I'm fine." The lake wind fanned the flames into fiercer blaze. Those lucky enough to escape the boats clambered onto water-wreathed embankments, trying to cling to drifting wreckage. Tang Wu used lightness skill to head for shore. He would never forget today. Land was very close and Tang Wu saw a team waiting. Those Tianma City dogs. Had they concealed forces on land? From shore they saw a green mechanical device flare to life. Vents of detoxifying gas launched toward the foremost ranks. Tang Wu landed then, and turned to look back. Tang Hwa had also reached shore, while the flotilla was engulfed by flames. A few had drifted ashore, still gasping for breath. Tang Wu gave them no time to delay, urging, "Move quickly." They knew they couldn't linger and stood up at once, their bodies wavering as they made for the tree line. And on the boat, Bong Su stood amid heaps of corpses on the deck, his face stained with the fresh blood of enemies. System display: first job transfer quest, Wanderer, exclusive test occupation, eliminate 100 enemies level 10 or above. Current quest progress completed, total 18,100. He thought to himself, 18, do any of those enemies I just killed qualify? Someone behind tossed him a cloth and called, "At least cover your face. Do you have any idea what you look like right now?" Bong Su was currently smeared head to toe with blood. He wrapped the cloth around his face, leaving only his eyes exposed, and replied, "Right." Someone stepped onto the boat. This person was the shapeshifted Du Hyo, okay, transformed. The man had to exclaim, "Oh my, you lot have turned this place into a blood-soaked graveyard, have you?" The whole group bowed. Vice camp leader Du Hyo okay asked, "What's the situation?" Reporting, "We wiped out those on the boat, but..." Tang Wu along with several masters and the remaining survivors fled to shore already. He looked awkward. "Is that so? I'll have to discuss it with the camp master. Wait for further orders." The subordinate bowed and obeyed. Bong Su stood in the distance, quietly observing the enemy. The flotilla continued to move. The water messenger folded her arms and looked toward the great blaze ahead. Seeing Du Hyo approaching, "Ah, Fa in hand, you're late, shapeshifter." He was surprised. "How did you know?" The water messenger replied, "I received word from Ash Shadow that you would come. And that smile of yours, whether you turn male or female, it never changes." He realized and said, "I will remember that. So how should we deal with Tang Wu?" The water messenger had her own plan. "We'll drive him to Xianzheng Mountain as arranged, and that place will become his tomb." Du Hyo rubbed his chin and said, "Xianzheng Mountain, half cliff, half valley, he'll be cornered against the cliff in utter despair. Perhaps he's scrambling up as fast as he can without realizing it's his own grave, eh?" The water messenger ordered, "Get ready to move. We'll depart soon with the rest of the force." Du Hyo added, "One of the 10 great masters against 2 bodyguards, wait, maybe 3. That's fine, more is definitely better." His departing steps halted. The shapeshifter inquired, "By the way, water messenger, did you happen to see any strange fellow, one with jet black eyes, or perhaps a master whose martial skill emits light?" The water messenger replied, "I have not seen anyone." He found it odd, every direction had been completely sealed off, yet the man had vanished without a trace. But Du Hyo had it figured out. As he looked toward the distant sea of flames, Du Hyo wasn't worried about finding Bong Su. There's nothing that a full-scale extermination can't sort out. As for Tang Wu, they moved into the mountains. The forest at night was utterly still. A small rustle sounded in the underbrush. A pack of assassins lunged out. Tang Wu unleashed poison needles at them. He amplified his power and controlled the venom. A small whirlwind formed. It dispersed into streams of antidotal gas fired at several assassins. Tang Wu's hands manipulated everything. Just as the assassins were about to reach the others, the antidotal streams pierced their heads. The assassins fell down. Tang Wu carefully glanced around. He led the way. "Let's keep moving." Gi Dihyo looked toward the open ground beside them and saw the people around him exhausted. He gritted his teeth and ordered, "Damn it. We'll rest for a moment." Everyone immediately went to find a place to rest. Gi Dihyo's gaze flicked over his men. He thought to himself, "The Black Crow unit is down to half, maybe even less. Danri Hui, who should have been here, has vanished without a trace. The slim chance of survival isn't just for me alone. We're in a state where even the Black Crow unit's survival is uncertain. We need to return to the Danri clan as soon as possible." A sound came again from the bushes. Gi Dihyo's face immediately changed. He turned to look. He shouted orders. The Black Crow unit rose and prepared to fight. Gi Dihyo led, pointing his spear forward. Someone. In that silent patch of bushes, dark figures appeared behind the tree roots. It turned out they had come ashore, and among them was Bong Su. Gi Dihyo exclaimed in surprise, "Pirates." Just when danger seemed temporarily over, he lifted the curtain and let out a "Ua." The distance between the two sides was shrinking fast. The pirates shouted, "Leave no one alive, wipe them all out for us." Gi Dihyo also ordered his men, "Do not die, we will all live and return to the Danri clan." The two sides charged at each other, one bloodthirsty, the other fighting for survival in peril. At that moment, one aimed at Gi Dihyo. The opponent accelerated toward him. At the instant the two swords clashed, Gi Dihyo realized his body had reached its limit. He had to find a way to end this quickly. Gi Dihyo unleashed the one-stream 10-sword technique, then shifted into the flying swallow, 10 linked swords, sword intent surging forth. The attacker targeting Gi Dihyo was Bong Su. He leaned back, dodging the flashing blade. Bong Su nimbly read the sword intent his opponent produced. He leapt into the air and slashed down. Bong Su was clear-headed. I saw the path of his sword. After landing, Bong Su retreated backward, while the other lunged forward wildly. He swung his sword in a wide arc. Bong Su spun, lifting his leg. He delivered a kick to Gi Dihyo. Both of them fell from above down to the ground. Bong Su landed and executed the 3-talent sword method. Gi Dihyo swung his sword. He lunged with all his strength. The spear plunged into the body and fresh blood spurted out. Gi Dihyo breathed a sigh of relief. "You slipped up." But he froze, for he didn't know where a corpse had come from that Bong Su used to block him. Gi Dihyo was stunned. How could that be? He thought to himself, "I clearly landed a killing blow." Bong Su spoke. "Someone once told me this. In the life-or-death battles of the martial world, the one who hides more cards has the upper hand." Bong Su's gaze flicked. "So, a concealed main weapon was all you prepared?" Suddenly Gi Dihyo felt a strange familiarity in that look. He was sure he'd seen it somewhere before. Bong Su used his chi to lift the daggers up. The daggers hovered and circled around Bong Su, aligned with the direction of his hands, then simultaneously shot toward the opponent. The daggers struck Gi Dihyo's body. He thought inwardly, "I knew it, I wasn't mistaken. He's been summoning objects from nothing this whole time. What kind of dark art is this?" While Gi Dihyo was on guard against the enemy in front of him, someone charged up from behind Dai. He was trapped with death looming both front and back. "I can't avoid it now." Bong Su's blade pierced the man behind Gi Dihyo. He shouted angrily, "Don't ruin my prey." And Gi Dihyo seemed to have realized. Thinking to himself, "That look, I remember it now." He gritted his teeth and snarled, "You vermin of the Danri clan. A lowly wretch like you." The insult sent Gi into a furious charge. He crossed swords with him and asked, "Since when? Since when did you deceive me?" The blade flashed with a sharp light. Gi recklessly lifted and then struck down at him. After their sword exchange he spat, "You little demon of yours. The self-destruct incident at Bingyang was certainly your doing." A red gleam like a predatory beast flashed in Bongsu's eyes. His sword flicked aside the opponent's blade, and Gi was sent flying backward. He relentlessly attacked, "You're nothing but a horse-stall sweeper from a noble family." The sword in Bongsu's hand transformed into a long lethal whip. It slithered around Gi body and then tightened. Gi arm was severed. He froze and looked up. Blood streaks appeared across his face and body. Even as he neared death, Gi clung to one obsession: "No, I must return to the Danri clan." Then his body exploded, fresh blood spraying everywhere. Bongsu said casually, "I already told you, whoever hides more will have the advantage." The pirates quickly cleaned out the Danri clan squad. Two of them were complaining, "Damn it, where did the reinforcements go?" Bongsu glanced around. He thought to himself, just as that man said, at some point the reinforcements that were supposed to arrive simply never showed up. There must be a reason for this. I need to go check. Suddenly one of them shouted, "Finally they came," admitting that the higher-ups are always unbearably slow. A group led by Ash Shadow approached. Someone noticed something odd about them. Why were they all wearing their shirts inside out like that? He shouted, "Campmaster, why are you so late? And why is your shirt on inside out?" Before he finished speaking, Ash Shadow swung his club. A single blow sent his head flying. Both Bongsu and the others were astonished. He stood there calmly looking at the corpse. Ash Shadow ordered that no one be left alive, wipe them all out.